20-year-old student Jennifer Klein is suing her former friend, 24-year-old ironworker Michael Rosenquist, for wrecking her car and then giving false information. Jennifer says his actions got her in trouble with the police.
Yeah, this is case number 177 on the calendar in the matter of Klein versus Rosenquist. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Gentlemen, have seats.
All right, the basic of this case has to do with the fact that Miss Klein says, Mr. Rosenquist, that you were driving her car. She was in the car with you at the time you were driving the car, and you hit another car. And then Miss Klein says that when you got out of the car, the driver of the other car and you supposedly exchanged information, or you gave the owner of that car your information.
That's correct.
Which Miss Klein says was false. As a result of that, she was hauled in by the police because the car is registered in her name and the owner had the license plate, and she got into some serious difficulty. So she's suing you for a whole bunch of things, including fixing her car, the other man's car, because she was originally going to be tried with hit and run. Is that right?
Yeah.
And your defense to the case is, if she didn't like the way I handle it, she should have taken care of it herself.
Well, if you're a driver, you know, you should, depending on what happened, you know, no matter what happened, I feel that she should
Just a second, I got a feeling this is going to be one of those. One of those slippery things where he's thinking as he's talking. So we're going to get a real kick out of this. Okay? So let's pay attention. This is going to be like Comedy Central. All right, Mr. Rosenquist, let's start again.
Basically, I just feel that she should have had to give her information too, you know, just to follow through, you know, with the information that I gave.
So what you're saying is that, are you chewing gum?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically, Mr. Rosenquist, what you're saying is, if she didn't like the way I handled it, she should have handled it herself.
Yes.
You're a fast learner. First of all, let's go back. Why was he driving your car? Look at me. Don't smile. Don't smile, and don't give me a lot of baloney. Why was he driving your car?
Because he insisted on it, and he was checking to see if I had a noise in my car, and he was driving it to see what was wrong.
Was he a mechanic?
Yes.
Was he your mechanic?
No, he was a friend. That was a mechanic.
He was a friend of yours. Was he a date? Had you gone out with him?
We're just friends, good friends.
And on what day was he driving your car?
I believe it was July 17th, 2002.
And how long had he been driving your car?
Probably 2 minutes.
Where did this accident happen?
He was taking a right into an apartment complex.
Why was he going into an apartment complex?
Because that's where his friend was at, that he wanted to go see if he was home. He takes a right, and the music was up, kind of loud. I have a loud stereo. So he turned into the apartment complex, hit the other car, and the guy got out of his car, stopped us, and he got out of the car, started talking to the other guy. By the time I got out, he said that he had given him his information and that everything was going to be taken care of, that he was going to pay for all damages and for me not to worry about it. And so I calmed down, and we went back to his house, and I examined my bumper, which it had been scratched and ripped away a little bit, and he kept on assuring me everything was going to be taken care of.
What was the next thing that happened, Miss Klein?
A week later, he was talking to me, and I asked him if the guy had ever called him. He said no, he must have, you know, not really cared, not a lot of damage. And the next day, I get a phone call from my parents saying that the police called saying that I had been in a hit and run, and I needed to call Sherwood Police Department and work it out with them. So I called them. They told me that someone in the accident gave false information to the other driver, and so it's a hit and run, and since it's underneath my name, I'm the one responsible.
So what did you do?
I went to the police station, talked to him, and then they told me that they would put a warrant out for my arrest and arrest me if I did not bring him in. So I went and got him, and I brought him in.
What did you tell the police?
I told the police my version of the story.
Which was?
When we pulled into the parking lot, you know, the stereo was loud. and I didn't even feel anything. It was kind of a heat, nah, dead serious. Did not feel anything at all. I don't know if it was because the subs were going or what, but pulled in the parking lot, next thing you know, I've got this gentleman standing next to the window. You know, I couldn't even really understand him very well, but I could smell liquor. We were at the river all day, and I actually was drinking too. And he was a little bit belligerent, I felt a little bit threatened, hence the false information that I gave.
So you gave false information?
The only false information that I did give was not my last name.
Well, what last name did you give him?
My mother's maiden name.
So you gave him misinformation?
Still, he got a hold of me.
You gave misinformation?
So be it.
Oh.
I didn't want a drunk person showing up at my house, endangering my family or myself, or anybody else for that matter.
Real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Klein says former friend Michael Rosenquist owes for wrecking her car and then giving false information.
What do you do for a living?
Iron worker,
How old are you?
24.
Do you go to church? I asked you a question.
Religiously? No.
Ever?
Yes, I do.
Do you know the name of a minister?
Do I? A few, yeah.
Good.
I know a few
Then
chaplains.
Just a second.
Sorry.
I'm way ahead of you. So if you were concerned that this belligerent drunk would contact you or go to your home, you say, listen, I don't know who you are, sir, so I'm going to give you the name of my minister. This is my name, and you can get in touch with me through my minister, and I will contact my minister, and we can make arrangements for me to fix your property through that. There are all kinds of ways to do it if you want to be honest. If you want to be dishonest and slick, you do what you did, which is give him misinformation so that he can't track you down. The only problem is he has her license plate number.
That's correct.
So she got in trouble. What did you do about it when you found out she got in trouble? What did you do?
I went down to the police station.
Did you take care of her car? The answer is either yes
No.
or no. Did you take care of the man's car?
Nope.
Why not?
That's what we're deciding here today.
We're not deciding anything. You already told her that you would take care of everything. You said, don't worry, I'll take care of everything. I gave him my information, I'll take care of it. That's what you told her. So you lied to her. Isn't that right?
Yes.
That means you're a liar. You also lied to me because you filled out this answer, which I read very carefully, which didn't say at all that you gave him misinformation. It says, he made it very tense, so I gave him my work address as a means of contacting me. So you gave him your work address, but with the wrong name.
Wrong last name.
Wrong name. What's your first name?
Michael?
Okay, let's see this. Bird, how many Michaels do you know? Just think. How many Michaels do you know? Do you know more than 2 Michaels?
I know more than 10 Michaels.
No more than 10 Michaels. What's your name?
Jeff DeMont.
Jeff! How many Michaels do you know?
More than 5.
What's your name?
Josh.
Better not be Michael. You know a couple of Michaels, Josh?
I know about 3.
We're not talking about a very, very odd name. We're talking about Michael. Michael. Right? And you work as an iron worker?
That's correct.
And how many people work in your plant?
My plant?
Where you work?
Where do I work?
Where you work. The plant where you work. Unless you do iron work in your backyard.
I build power plants and water treatment facilities. It depends.
So you must work with a lot of people.
Of course I do.
Any Michaels?
More than a few.
So let's not play with each other, Mr. Rosenquist. Miss Klein, I'm finished with playing with Mr. Rosenquist. He is a loser, and a dishonest one at that. So would you kindly tell me what your damages were?
First, I have a $75 ticket I had to pay because they gave me a ticket for failure to report an accident. Then I have an estimate of my insurance with my parents compared to one on my own now.
What do you mean?
Well, because of this whole entire situation, I was underneath my parents' insurance, and the accident was for the other guy's car was paid from my insurance company, and plus this extra ticket on my insurance too. So my insurance went through the roof.
He's not going to compensate you for that. You want to know why? Don't let somebody else drive your car. And if somebody is driving your car and turns up the blasters up so that you can't hear yourself think and you can't hear yourself have an accident, then that's your problem.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. And later today,
Where is your engagement ring?
It's home.
So you still have it?
Yeah, she wouldn't give it back.
Why didn't you give him back the engagement ring?
Because I figured he owed me more than that with his wedding. You stood me up.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Jennifer Klein says former friend Michael Rosenquist owes for wrecking her car and then giving false information.
You want to know something else? I'm adding on the $75 ticket $500 because that's what I think your afternoon of having agita was worth when you had to go down to the police station after your parents being called and told that you were being charged with hit and run unless you went down there because he lied.
Okay, thank you.
And that's what I think it's worth, other than taking care of the other person's car. Now, did you do that, or did the insurance company do that?
Excuse me, can you repeat that?
Did your insurance company cover the other man's damage, or did you?
No, the insurance company did,
Fine.
and that's the reason why.
What about the damage to your car?
I only have liability, so it didn't cover my car.
Is it a scratched bumper that you had fixed, or that you didn't have fixed?
I haven't been able to get it fixed because my insurance has been so expensive. I haven't had a car for 10 months.
You haven't had a car?
Well, I've had the car, but I haven't been able to drive it. I haven't been able to afford it being a college student. But I got an estimate, which is $586.50.
To fix the bumper?
Yes.
So he's going to pay you $75 for the ticket and $500 for either your aggravation or the bumper. Do you understand? Do you understand?
Yes.
$575, judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I think it went well. I'm happy that I got something, at least.
She knows that I was drinking all day long at the rivers. I mean, she was right there with me.
He continuously told me that once he got a job, he was going to reimburse me, and I never saw him or the money after that.
Lost a pretty good friendship over it, and, it's taken a lot of time out of me.
Realtor Susan Rathgaber is suing arborist Duff Borsity for having her falsely arrested for assault. Duff says she punched him in the face during an argument at a karaoke bar.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 239 on the calendar in the matter of Rathgaber versus Borsity. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
It is your claim that the defendant had you falsely arrested for assault.
Yes, that's right, Your Honor.
And the defendant says that you did, in fact, hit him at a bar. He had every... He had every right to call and make a complaint, and that's your problem. So why don't you tell me how you know him and when this incident took place?
The incident took place in February of this year at a nightclub around the corner from my house. I did not know Mr. Borsity from Adam at the time. When he accosted me in this bar and was trying to convince me that I should leave with him and his friend to go somewhere, as he put it, a little more exciting. At that time, he started pushing me slightly, and we were by the revolving doors, and I was afraid he was going to try and push me out the doors of the restaurant.
How was he pushing you? Show me how he was pushing you.
With his hands around my waist, and I was facing him. It was very uncomfortable. I tried to turn. As I was wearing backless shoes, I tried to turn so that I could stop myself from being pushed. And it only lasted a couple of seconds before the manager at the time yelled over for him to cut it out and take a seat, which he did. However, at the very end of the evening, Mr. Borsity again came forward and, was basically asking me, don't you want to go somewhere else? Where are we going after this? That sort of thing. And I finally had lost my patience with him, and I believe what I said to him was, the closest you're going to get to leaving this bar with me is if I kick you in the butt on your way out the door.
Okay.
At which point, he grabbed me by the shoulders, and I broke his grip and slapped him. He had twice accosted me before I slapped him.
Just a second. So he grabbed you by the shoulders.
Yes.
And you pushed his arms away and slapped him. Okay. What happened next?
After that, he became really enraged, and his arm went up, and I believe he was going to strike me. But at that time, about 3 or 4 other people stepped in and pulled him off. When they finally let go of him, the first thing he did apparently was to turn and push poor Vince into a bunch of chairs. My understanding is that he was injured. I was standing nowhere near anyone at the time. No one was restraining me, and it says in the warrant as well that...
Okay, so that's what happened. Now, you went home that night.
Yes.
Nothing else happened. There was no other contact between the two of you.
As I was leaving, a friend of mine had agreed to walk me out. Mr. Borsity and Mr. Duffy had circled back around in their truck and were waiting for me outside and approached me. Jason, who was escorting me out, said, you know, get back in the car. We don't want any trouble. You guys have, you know, you've caused enough trouble this evening. Don't talk to her, don't anything. And they kept walking. And that's when Vince said, my buddy just wanted to apologize. And Mr. Borsity didn't say anything even like that. But there was no altercation or anything outside. I was like, yeah, fine, whatever, it's done. Got in my car, and I went home that evening.
And the next thing that happened was?
The next thing that happened with him is that I'm basically getting out of my shower on a Saturday evening. There's a sheriff pounding on my front door. I've got a robe and a towel on my head, and I'm arrested for an assault that never happened.
What happened with that case?
Well, when we went to court, my attorney had hired a private investigator who had talked to everyone involved. But when we got to the court...
What happened to the case?
It got thrown out.
It was dismissed?
Yes, it was dismissed. They didn't even take it to trial. They said there wasn't enough evidence.
Okay. Now I'll hear you.
We were in the bar. We were drinking. We were doing karaoke. She was in the bar when we arrived. As the night went on, we were talking about several conversations. There was nobody else in the bar. There was only 5 people in the bar total. This, what she said, is a lot of fiction, a lot of fiction. We were talking about the martial arts and things like that, and she basically said, in an inebriated state, that she could probably take me in a conflict. Anyway, I went to the restroom, and I came back. Then she made another derogatory comment to me about my endowment. And I told her, I said...
What did she say to you?
Well, she was talking to the other bartender, and she's looking at me, and she said, I think he probably has a small, you know. That's what she said. And I said, were you talking to me? And she, with a smirk on her face, she said, oh, no, I was talking about somebody else. And I go, whatever. And I called her. I walked away from her, right?
Why did you call her name?
Because she was speaking to me. Because she was speaking. There was nobody else in the room, and she was smirking. And she had already, you know, said she thought she could take me in a fight, and she was acting, you know. And she'd been up. She's not a wallflower, Your Honor. She had been up doing karaoke. She had done 4 or 5 songs, you know, over the course of the evening. But anyway, make a long story short, she, as I was walking away, she said it again, that, you know, I think she probably could take me in karate. And I said, well, I slapped down some money.
This was after you called her a name?
After I called her, yes. I did call her a and I slapped down some money on the table, and I said, there's $5 here that says you can't, you know, that you couldn't take me.
So you challenged her to... Shh, well, no, please? You challenged her?
Well, I just basically said, yes, I did, I guess.
Okay.
And then Ron, the bartender here, he was bartending at the time, he witnessed it, and he said, take it outside if you're going to do anything. You know, I picked up my money and started walking away from her, and she came up behind me, tapped me on the shoulder, I turned around, she slapped me. And I looked at her and I said, what are you, crazy, right? She slapped me again. Then Vince jumped, he was on a stool, he came around, grabbed me and put my arms around me so it wouldn't go any further escalation, right? While my arms are being held like this, she punched me with a closed fist, okay? I broke free of him, that's how he got injured. When I threw him off me, he hit a table, he fell down, okay? Then she swung at me again, I grabbed her and I put her down on the floor. And then the other bartender, her friend Jason, he came around from the back of the bar and held her while I left. And that's what happened.
This is the first version of this story.
Just a second.
Told.
You testified, is that right?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Both of you were drunk. The only one that wasn't drunk was him.
That's not true, in fact.
Oh, yes, it is.
No.
Oh, yes, it is.
And later today,
He came into my home, took off his clothes, and went straight to the bar.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Susan Rathgaber says she was arrested when fellow bar patron Duff Borsity falsely accused her of assault. Duff says she slapped him twice and then punched him.
Now, you weren't injured.
Well, I was no, I wasn't, ma'am. I did get...
And so you went home.
Yes, ma'am, I did.
You did not call the police from the bar?
No, I did not.
Did you drive yourself home immediately?
Well, no, I waited for him to come out. My roommate, Vince.
How long did you wait outside for Vince?
Probably about 5-10 minutes.
Is there any reason why you didn't call the police from the bar where there were witnesses?
He asked me to leave, and I didn't want to cause a scene there.
Who asked you to leave?
The bartender, Ron Jolly.
Okay, now step up. You know the plaintiff.
Yes, ma'am.
Before that evening, had you ever met the defendant?
Yes, ma'am.
Were you friendly with Mr. Borsky?
Yes, ma'am.
And what about the plaintiff?
She was a regular at the club probably about a year since I started working there.
Okay. Did you ever have any words with her?
No, ma'am.
Have any problems with her?
No, ma'am.
She ever become drunk and sloppy?
Once or twice, maybe, yes.
She did?
Yes.
And do you remember how much each of these two people had to drink that night?
Yes, ma'am.
Tell me.
Both of them were pretty well intoxicated, yes.
And when the defendant left, he said he went out and got in his pickup truck.
Mm-hmm.
Who drove home?
That I don't know.
Who drove home?
I did, ma'am.
Drunk?
Yes, ma'am. She drove home drunk, too.
I'm going to get there. I thought you lived around the corner. Did you drive home?
Yes, ma'am, I did, but I had waited in the club for about 40 minutes by the time I left. And I waited in my car with Jason for about another 20 after that. And I actually had only had 3 beverages over a 4-hour period that
I don't think that's what he's saying. Is that right?
No, ma'am. I was serving shots to both parties all night.
And they were both pretty well drunk.
Correct. And this did happen around 1:30. And when I left the bar at 2 o'clock, there was nobody outside.
Okay. Now, you want to tell me what you observed that night?
Ma'am. They were sitting on one side of the bar over here. She was on the other side of the bar. There was conversation back across the bar. The fact of the martial arts did come up. At that point, I did take keen to the conversation because when people are drinking in a bar, a conversation like that comes up, you need to keep an eye on them. Then I did see Mr. Borsity come around. She did actually challenge him a few times, and there was a bet made. He walked around, he put money on the bar, and at that point, I told both of them to go outside. At that time, he picked the money up from the bar, put it back in his pocket. She got up from her seat, tapped him on the shoulder. As soon as he turned around, she took her open fist and slapped him right in his face. His head actually turned completely to the side.
And then what did you see?
She stepped back in an aggressive stance. She was smiling, laughing. I asked her then to grab her things and leave. She took a few steps towards him again, slapped him a second time. That's when Vince came around. He tried to hold Duffy back, and then that's when she hit him again. He took Duffy, threw him off. He went over one table, landed at the base of another table. I was getting furious. I was like, you guys need to leave right now, because then that looks bad on me because I'm not controlling the situation.
I got you. Okay.
I'm sorry, Your Honor, that's just not the story that Mr. Borsity told the police, and it's not the story that was in his warrant that he swore out under oath.
Just a second. Let me tell you something. Both of you were drunk. The only one that wasn't drunk was him.
That's not true, in fact.
Oh, yes, it is.
No.
Oh, yes, it is. He wasn't drunk. The two of you were drunk. That's why I don't care what he swore to in the warrant. I don't care what you're telling me happened, because neither one of you have a clear picture of what happened. He has a very clear picture of what happened. Clear as a bell. I believe that you hit him.
In self-defense?
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. Nope. I don't. I don't believe it was in self-defense. I believe that you hit him. I don't believe that you injured him. He says you didn't injure him.
No, she didn't.
But you still can't put your hands on somebody. You can't slap somebody twice. You can't, but just because you're a girl.
Well, it was perfectly acceptable for him to push me around in a bar.
He didn't push you around at all.
Absolutely.
Oh, no, he didn't. No, he didn't. You may not like what he said to you. You may not like that he was coming on to you. Let's leave or whatever. If you didn't like what he had to say to you and you thought he was drunk or you thought he wasn't being respectful, you could have gotten in your car and gone home. You chose to stay. You chose to stay until 1 o'clock in the morning. So nothing that he said to you was that offensive because the place wasn't hopping with a whole bunch of other people. I believe that you put your hands on him first. Your case is dismissed. That's all.
Thank you very much, Your Honor. She made it out like she was a little wallflower. She's a rough chick.
His own 2 stories to the police and on his warrant didn't match what he just told the judge.
She's a liar, and she got just what she deserved, and I'm glad I won. Judge Judy was right on.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Pappas versus Aldern. Step forward, please.
Mortgage broker Corliss Pappas is suing her daughter's former friend, 19-year-old student Kelly Aldern, for the cost of a new car engine. Corliss says Kelly drove the car with the oil light on.
Miss Pappas, you are the owner of an automobile. I assume this is your daughter.
Correct.
Your daughter goes to college? Mm-hmm. And she, without asking your permission, loaned your car to the defendant and this young lady for the purposes of making a trip, a long trip, 700 miles. The car broke down on the way home from the trip, and it is your claim that the defendant should pay for half of the cost for repairing the car. The defendant says that the car broke down and it wasn't her fault.
Correct.
Okay. You don't know what happened with the car because you weren't there. Is that right?
That is true.
And your daughter doesn't know what happened with the car because your daughter wasn't there.
That would be true.
This young lady, who was also in the car, what is your name?
Colleen.
Colleen sent you a check. Step up, Colleen. Why did you send her $800, Colleen?
I wanted to avoid conflict.
Why don't you tell me where you were going when you borrowed the car?
We were going to Iowa.
From where?
From Greeley, Colorado.
How many miles is that trip?
700.
Each way?
Yes.
And the car made it there without a problem?
Yes.
What happened on the way back?
The engine seized.
Did anything happen before the engine seized? Look at me.
The oil light came on possibly a little bit before, but I didn't see it. I wasn't driving.
Colleen, let's not play games with each other so that way you won't be embarrassed. When did you find out that the oil light went on?
Right before the engine broke down, the car broke down.
And who told you the oil light went on?
Kelly was in the middle of telling me.
What did she say to you?
Basically, the oil light's on, and the car broke down right then.
How long had the oil light been on, Kelly?
It had been on for about a second or two, right before the engine seized.
Had you ever had any problems with leaking oil in the car before?
No, ma'am.
Step up. Tell me your name.
Annie Pappas.
Annie, when you had the car, did you have to put oil in the car frequently?
I put oil in, we serviced it in June, right? Correct. And we put oil in it, how long before? I'm sorry, I didn't know exactly. My dad always put oil in the car for us, so.
How old a car is this?
It's 1990.
So the car's 13 years old.
Yeah, so you do put oil in it.
And you have this car at college?
Yes, my mom gave it to me.
So, Ms. Pappas, what makes you think Ms. Aldern is responsible for half of the damage to the car?
Two reasons. First of all, through the talk from these girls at the dorm, the comment was produced saying that they drove for 30 minutes with the oil light on. The second reason is that it's not a seized engine. It was an engine that actually had a rod go clear through the engine. The crankshaft also broke. The entire motor had to be replaced.
Well, what makes you think that that's Ms. Aldern's fault?
I think if an oil light goes on and you drive or don't stop immediately, one would assume that you're not taking care of the car.
What if they were in the middle of a road where they didn't have a gas station?
Then pull over to the side and call for help. They ruined the engine.
How do I know whether or not the same thing might not have happened to your daughter? She doesn't know one thing from another about changing oil. She says, my dad takes care of that.
She does recognize if a light comes on, you stop.
According to Kelly, the light went on a few seconds before the engine seized.
I don't believe that. I don't.
Well, how do I know that? You weren't there.
That's true.
If your theory of the case is, Ms. Pappas, that the person driving the car, that would be Kelly, was negligent because she did not stop immediately and put oil in the car or call for help, then what is your theory with regard to Colleen being responsible? And you insisted that she give you half.
That's a valid point. However, no matter, even if you were in a brand new car and you drove 700 miles, when you stopped to purchase gasoline, you could check on the oil. I just thought people did that.
I don't check my oil every time I go into a gas station. What I'm asking you, Ms. Pappas, is why would you think Colleen would be responsible for half of your cost? She wasn't driving. She's a passenger.
I thought that she would be responsible because when she took the car from Ann, both girls said that if they broke it, they would buy the car. If any damage was created to the car under any circumstances,
oh, well, that's a different story. Did you say that?
We did make an agreement when we took the car. Annie said, if you break it, you buy it, and we did agree to that. But we...
Just a second. That's a horse of a different color. Now, Kelly, but for the fact that you agreed to take care of any damage to the car while it was in your possession, you would not be responsible. But if you said to Miss Pappas, anything that happens to the car, if we break it, we buy it, that means that you're going to take care of it.
Well, we didn't say exactly if anything happens to the car. The understanding was more...
Don't tell me what the understanding was. The words. Just the words.
Okay, the words, Annie said, you break it, you buy it, and we said, okay.
You owe her $800, my dear. You owe her $800. You wouldn't ordinarily. But if she said to you, you break it, you buy it, and you said, okay, you are guaranteeing the return of that car in the same condition that you took it in. Therefore, you owe her $800. Judgment for the plaintiff. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Well, I still feel that we didn't actually break the car. It was really old, and no one could have known what was going to happen to it.
It's an interesting learning experience.
If Annie was driving, I'm sure the same thing would have happened.
I'm very pleased with Colleen. She was a responsible young woman, and I honor very much that she did what she said she was going to do at the get-go.
I don't agree with paying the money, but I did it. I trusted them. I thought if they could pay for it, you know, I didn't think anything would happen. It worked just fine for me.
We don't really talk to each other much anymore.
Ultrasound technologist Kathy Cassidy is suing her daughter's former friend, 21-year-old UPS worker Colin Graves, for wrecking her BMW. Colin says he was picking up cocaine for Kathy's daughter.
All rise. Yeah, this is case number 128 on the calendar in the matter of Cassidy versus Graves. Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated. Ladies, have seats. You're welcome.
Bird, this is another one of those cases of Dumb and Dumber, and Mama gets to pay the bill.
Ooh.
Which one is your daughter?
Erin.
That's dumb. Dumber. Miss Cassidy made the mistake of letting her daughter borrow her car. Her daughter went to a party and got blotto drunk. So far correct, Miss Cassidy?
Pretty accurate.
Somehow or another, Mr. Graves over here, dumber, got the car and wrecked it. Mr. Graves' defense, while he acknowledges that he went over a curb or a building, is that right, sir? You're not exactly sure.
Technically.
Thereby damaging the car, has a novel defense. So we have agreed on a certain state of facts. Miss Cassidy, the mother, owner of the car, daughter whose name is?
Erin Cassidy.
Drunk, blotto, laid out. He takes the car. Now we're going to hear his defense. We can't wait.
All right, well, we're at a party at my friend's house, and Erin asked me to go pick up an errand for her. And
Pick up what?
Pick up an errand.
Pick up an errand.
Yeah.
Is that heavy?
No. No, it's not.
Erin asked you to what?
To drive her car to go pick up an errand for her.
To go pick up an errand. Could you describe what an errand is, sir? Because Bird and I don't understand what an errand is. Is that bigger than a bread box, smaller than a bread box? What does it do? What does an errand do?
It's an illegal substance.
An errand is called an illegal substance.
No,
Bird,
that's what I went
have you ever heard an illegal substance called an errand?
Not in this lifetime.
Not in this lifetime. And having been around family courts and the court system for a long time, we would have heard, I mean, we've heard of a lot of things, but we've never heard of an illegal substance called an errand. We're going to start again, Mr. Graves.
Okay.
You were at a party, and Erin asked you to what?
To go pick up some cocaine for her.
Okay. Did she give you any money? I would like you to look in my eyes when you speak to me.
All right. She tried to give me some money, but she couldn't find her wallet because she was too drunk. And so we went looking for her wallet, and I found it outside in the front, or next to the front door. So.
Look at my eyes.
Sorry.
So you took money out of her wallet, or you brought the wallet back to her?
Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh, what? Uh-huh is not an answer.
Yes.
You see what I mean, Dumb and Dumber?
Dumb and Dumberer.
Dumb and Dumberer. Uh-huh is not an answer. Either you took the money out of her wallet, or you brought the wallet back to her for her to take the money out of it, and uh-huh is not an answer. Column A or column B? Which one was it?
Took the wallet to her.
And she took the money out?
No, she said to look in it and take the money.
And how much money did you take out?
Just 20 bucks.
20 bucks. And where did you go to purchase this cocaine for Erin with the 20 bucks?
From a friend of mine.
Friend of yours?
Yeah, well, a friend of ours.
A mutual friend. The person's name?
I can't give that.
Oh, yes, you can.
All right.
You're here in court. I'm asking you a question. I have to decide whether or not you're telling me the truth. The person's name?
Justin?
Justin what?
I don't know. I don't want to give it to you. Sorry.
Now, you're in the car on your way with the 20 bucks to buy cocaine for Erin, who was drunk. So drunk she couldn't even find her own wallet. And what happened with the car, Mr. Graves?
Well, I was turning to a left-hand turn lane, and I got a glare in my eye.
What time was it?
I think 11 or so.
At
11,
night?
Yes.
Was it a sun glare?
No, it was from a light because I wear contacts.
It was from what light? Because you wear...
The street light. Like, you know, the light that's red, green, signal light. And I got...
because you wear contact lenses, it affects your light in a way different from the way it affects normal people.
No, not necessarily. I don't know how normal people see because I'm not a normal seer.
You're not normal, is what you're saying. Is that what you're trying to tell me?
No, I'm not trying to say that.
You were blinded by the light. And what happened?
Well, I drive a truck, so I'm not used to her quick handling, and sorry.
You got blinded by the light. And what happened?
And I was turning into the left-hand turn lane, and there's an island there. And I went up the curb onto the island.
Thereby damaging the
rims.
Then you went and bought the cocaine.
Yes.
And you brought it back to the house.
Yes.
And what did you do with it?
Well, I went to go find Erin, but she was passed out on my friend's bed.
And?
And so then I just gave it to someone else.
You gave Erin's cocaine to somebody else?
Well, someone else was purchasing some too at the same time.
You mean you drove somebody else also to your friend Justin's house to buy the cocaine?
Yes.
Is that what you're telling me?
Yes.
Well, how many purchasers... Bird. This is very serious business. This is the future of our country here that's standing here.
Merely cleaning my
This is the
glasses.
future of America. How many purchasers were in the car altogether, Mr. Graves?
None of them were purchasers.
Well,
But
that
they were
was
just-
you.
I wasn't purchasing.
Sure, you were purchasing.
I was purchasing it for other people.
You were an
Yes.
errand.
Yes.
Sorry, he was an errand. And then there was at least one other person who you also said was in the car also purchasing, right?
No. No other person in the car was purchasing besides me.
I thought you said somebody else in the house. You gave
Well,
it to...
I brought 2 people with me, but they weren't purchasing any. They were just going along for the ride.
So you gave it to...
The person that was back at the house.
Just because they were... Was it their birthday or anything?
Not that I know of.
Was it a bar mitzvah present?
No.
Just because you were a nice guy. Because you don't do any cocaine.
No, not anymore. Not anymore.
I don't mean now, I mean then.
Yeah, I did.
It's party time. So you just gave away the cocaine. Didn't want to use any of it yourself that night. Didn't want to save any for later.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
You know what makes me doubt what he said? The fact that when he came back, because she was sleeping, he gave the cocaine away.
And later today,
I'm not happy, you're not happy, let's call this quits. And he then crossed the double yellow line in my car and started driving towards oncoming traffic full force.
real cases, real people. Judge Judy. Kathy Cassidy says her daughter's former friend, Colin Graves, damaged her BMW when he drove it over a curb. Colin says Kathy's daughter asked him to go buy cocaine.
How much did it cost you to fix this car, Miss Cassidy?
$25, $34, $95.
Do you have any proof of that?
Yes, I do.
I'd like to see it, please. Where's the car now, Miss Cassidy?
It's in my possession.
Did you give her the car back?
Well, she still uses it on occasion, but the story of what happened isn't exactly as...
I don't necessarily buy everything that he says.
Right.
You know what makes me doubt what he said? The fact that when he came back, and because she was sleeping, he gave the cocaine away.
Yeah.
I tried to wake her up.
That's not what I'm
sure
talking
he did.
about. That he gave it away because he didn't want to use it himself, you know, even though then he was using cocaine occasionally, he didn't want to use it, so he just
Right.
gave it to a friend.
Right. It's very kind.
Do you understand? Isn't
Yeah.
that kind?
Yeah.
Kind. So I'm sure somewhere in the middle of what your daughter told you and what Mr. Future of America told me lies the truth.
Yes.
It really is irrelevant.
Yes.
She was irresponsible.
Yes, she was.
She drove a car and she got drunk. He acknowledges that she was drunk, so that he should not have taken her car, because if she was drunk, she was in no position to give advised consent to him taking the car.
That's right.
And therefore, he should not have taken it, whether he was doing errand for her
Yeah.
or not, or doing errand for somebody else, or just being a jerk. He should not have taken the car because she was drunk. And I don't think you have to suffer for that. I just wanted to make sure that you knew that your daughter did the wrong thing by taking your car and putting herself in a position where she wasn't totally together.
And she agrees. She
Good.
understands.
Absolutely fine. In any event, Mr. Graves was driving the car. Unfortunately for him, he was blinded by whatever light it was. Maybe it was a shooting star. He owes you $25.34. That's $2,534. Judgment for the plaintiff. Thank you very much. Goodbye, and I wish us all luck.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
I did not ask for drugs that night, and I did not tell him to go take my car to do drugs. In fact, he was the one that did the drugs, so.
She was coherent at the time when I asked her for her keys.
I was never asked. That's not the truth.
And Alicia was inside the room with me when I got the keys from her.
So that was the first lie.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Shaw versus Wallace. Step forward, please.
Barbershop owner Michael Shaw and his girlfriend, airline reservationist Katrina Wallace, are in court for the second time. Michael claims a paternity test proves he is not the father of her child. Judge Judy has ordered a second test, and they're ready to hear the results.
This case was adjourned in order to conduct a proper paternity test. Mr. Shaw, you had been paying support for several years based upon what you claim is Ms. Wallace's statement that you were the father of her son. You subsequently determined that that was not true by a test that you took with your son during a period of time when you had him for visitation. I explained to you that that was not the proper way of taking a paternity test, that in order to take a paternity test that courts will find valid, all three people should be there at the same time so that you can each look at each other and say, this is Miss Wallace, this is Mr. Shaw, and this is the child. And I understand that you have done that.
Yes, ma'am.
Do we have the test results?
Right here.
Thank you, Bird. It's a photograph that the laboratory takes at the time that they take the blood samples. How old is his son?
He's 2.
Big boy. Will you give each of the parties a copy of the test, please? See it?
Yes.
So it is clear, Miss Wallace, it is impossible, based upon the genetics, for Mr. Shaw to be your son's father. You understand that?
Yes.
So the issue presents itself to me as to whether you have to return to him the payments that he's made over the last 2 years.
Yes.
I'll hear you.
From the beginning, I actually thought that Mike was the father of my son, and he was there at the time he was born. He signed his birth certificate, and we had been carrying on as Mike being the father. He's had an active part in his life, and my son only knows him as his father. And it was never my intent to deceive him because I believed it as well.
Okay, Miss Wallace, when you became pregnant, did you tell Mr. Shaw, I'm pregnant?
Yes.
There is a strong probability that you're the father, but I have been intimate with one or more people, so it's possible that you're not.
No.
Did you tell him that?
No.
Then you did deceive him, Miss Wallace. The fact that you thought that he was the father is really a statement of you wanted him to be the father. Because if you had had sexual relations with both Mr. Shaw and others during the period of conception, and if you didn't say to him, I think you should take a paternity test because I have been intimate with others, then you did deceive him. No question about that. If she had told you that there was a possibility that you were not the father, but a possibility that you were, you would have taken the test before.
Absolutely.
Absolutely, of course, because you're not crazy. So this is a good example for you and for anybody else who might be out there listening. And one's belief, one's hope that somebody is the father of the child doesn't necessarily mean it's true. So before you start paying support, you get a paternity test to make sure. For you, there is no issue as to the amount of money that you've contributed. It's at least $5,000 over the last 2 years. But the problem is This little boy now only knows one person is the father. Now Miss Wallace is going to have to start searching for who this child's father is, and at the age of 2 or 3 or 4, going to have to introduce somebody else. That's the real victim in this case is the child.
I understand.
You understand that?
Yes, I do.
And you created the situation. You have to understand that you created it because you weren't honest with him at the beginning. Got it?
Yes.
Good. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $5,000. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Naturally, I'm satisfied with the judgment.
A total shock.
When this situation occurred, I just felt like I had to do something.
My thoughts are that my son was the victim.
Not just stand by and let her take advantage of me.
Because he certainly has been a part of Mike's life.
I have no ill feelings against her.
And now he doesn't know anyone else as his father.
Or the son. I think, you know, he's a handsome, very bright young man.
And so we have to move forward, and we will do that.
And I'd like to be, if at all possible, some part of his life in the future.
I don't see that happening.
And now the next case.
All parties in the matter of Daniels versus Robinson. Step forward, please.
Registered nurse Cherise Daniels is suing her ex-boyfriend, social worker Andre Robinson, for an unpaid loan. Andre claims she's been repaid.
Ms. Daniels, the defendant is your former boyfriend, and it is your claim that he owes you a balance on a loan that you made to him for his mother's funeral expenses. Yes. Mr. Robinson says that he paid back $1,300 of that loan. You acknowledge that?
Yes.
Owing a balance of $2,700, which he claims was forgiven because he did some favors for you.
That's correct, Your Honor.
So now, Ms. Daniels, we're going to get to some preliminary facts. Where did you get the $4,000 from?
Actually, I borrowed about $600 of it from my sister, but the rest of it I had myself. I work. I'm a registered nurse.
Where did you have it?
In my banking account.
Show me the withdrawal.
I don't have the statement from the withdrawal.
Do you have any evidence here of the loan?
No, I don't have any evidence.
So you have no evidence. You're coming to court, and you have to bring more than a smile when you come to court. Mr. Robinson, you claim that you gave her back $1,300. Is that right?
Yes, I did.
Show me proof of that.
I have no receipt. I paid her in cash.
You did? Where did you get the cash from?
From, well, pretty much work, from saving and accumulating. Income tax. I gave it to her. Sorry, Your Honor.
Income tax what year?
It wasn't income tax because my income tax check was taken from me.
So it wasn't an income tax check?
Yeah. So I had to come up with that much amount of money on my own.
So that you saved $1,300?
Yes.
That you gave her in cash?
Yes, because I trust her like that. We've known each other for so long.
You know what my problem is, Mr. Robinson? You know what my problem is, Miss Daniels?
No, Your Honor.
I don't trust either one of you. So when you all get some proof, you come back to see me.
Well, Your Honor, can I say something?
No. Listen to me. Listen to me. When you all get proof, go to your bank.
Your Honor,
listen to me carefully. Until I see a bank withdrawal from your bank for $4,000, don't come back.
That is crazy.
Parties are excused. Step out. Parties on Parker versus Parker. Step forward, please.
Richard Parker divorced his mail-order bride, Pia, after 6 years. Now, he wants her punished for filing a false police report.
Order. All rise. Your Honor, it's number 94 on the calendar in the matter of Parker versus Parker. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
I found your complaint and your response fascinating in this case because I've never dealt with a couple whose marriage was arranged through the mail. And it seems to me that that's the way you met. Is that right?
Well, we did meet in person. We met through the mail, and then I went to her country and met her in person, and then I came back and we corresponded some more, yes.
You married?
Yes.
You have a child together?
Yes.
A girl?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you divorced?
Yes.
And you are suing your ex-wife because you say that she filed a false police report against you.
Yes, Your Honor.
Causing you to pay in counsel fees of $3,000 to defend that action. She subsequently either withdrew the action or the district attorney decided not to proceed with it for some reason, which I assume people will tell me. And then you tacked on an additional $2,000 for mental stress. Correct?
You've got it, Your Honor.
And on your side, Mrs. Parker, you are countersuing. I couldn't quite figure out what you're countersuing for. For some money so that you can set up a new home for you and your daughter, for furniture and
He's holding
things.
my furniture and appliances. Plus, he put me through a battle of custody. He's trying
Custody
to get
battle.
Custody battle. He's trying to get custody, full custody of my daughter. I have the physical custody of my daughter. So he put me through such a distress. I had to hire an attorney to defend the custody of my daughter. So he's the one who's putting me through all this stress. He's the one who's doing
Well,
all this.
Mrs. Parker, let me explain this to you so that you'll understand why I'm not entertaining your countersuit. You were divorced.
Yes.
Your judgment of divorce should have finalized all the property that the two of you accumulated during your marriage. That's what a divorce does. It finalizes the property aspect of what each of you had. So, and you were represented by an attorney in that divorce?
Yes,
Well, then that's what your attorney was supposed to do. Supposed to make sure that whatever maintenance, child support, or anything else, and custody of the child was taken care of in
Your
that
Honor,
judgment of divorce.
May I intercede for a minute?
Yes.
Several months ago, it was about 5 months ago, when I was over at her apartment to see my daughter, and I could obviously see that she was going to be moving. There's boxes all over the living room, and you could see that somebody was going to be moving. And I said, "Is Mommy moving?" to my daughter, and she says, "Yeah." And I said, "Where's she going?" And I said, "Where are you going, Lynn?" And she says, "I don't know, maybe Westminster, maybe Downey." She didn't seem to know. I said, "Well, look, I've got 2 bedrooms. I got 2 vacant bedrooms in the house." I says, "For the sake of the daughter," I says, "why don't you come back here and rent those from me, and the rent will be cheaper than your apartment. You won't have any utilities, and such as." So she did, and she did bring some stuff. Some of what she's saying is her property is really my daughter's bedroom set. I do have a refrigerator, but that's all been settled in a small claims action that I won. She left owing me some money. She plugged into my phone and made long-distance phone calls.
So that matter has been resolved.
That's been resolved, really,
in another action.
Yeah, and it's not $5,000 worth. There's a refrigerator and a couple.
Do you have those papers from
I
these
believe
other
I do.
actions?
I believe I do, Your Honor.
I'd like to take a look at it.
I'm sorry.
Do you understand that? It wasn't resolved about my property and appliances, and all he's talked. He told you it's not. It hasn't been resolved.
You told me that the furniture was contemplated in this action.
No, it's not.
All right, then I'm not interested in this. You have her furniture there. Just a second. Okay, you have her furniture there. Bedroom set. That's your daughter's. Refrigerator and entertainment center. Those are the things that she brought into the house?
No, Your Honor, first of all, the entertainment center is not there, and all it was a shelf. I mean, it's not like a major...
Where is it? Where is it?
I had another roommate that took it.
Well, then you have to replace it. Bedroom set, refrigerator. How much did you pay for this entertainment center? Make sure you have the bill for it?
Entertainment center. Yeah, $150.
Can I see the bill, please?
I don't have the bill, but it's entertainment center. It's just the shelves where to put the TV, VCR, and books and videos for my daughter. It's like around $150 is all. My sister paid for that. That's my sister's entertainment center. She gave it to me as a gift when we were living in Huntington Beach.
Fine.
After the divorce.
Fine. I'm going to fix a value of it of $100.
That's
Should not have let somebody else take it away, sir. All right,
Your
listen to
Honor?
me. Listen to me. What else?
Yeah, and he has sued me.
What other property? I have a refrigerator, a bedroom set, and an entertainment center. Come.
Okay, the vanity said like...
I don't want to hear vanity. That's all part of your daughter's bedroom furniture.
Okay, I'm sorry, yeah.
All right, that's it. Period. Miss Parker.
Yes, let's get to the case that we are here for.
Well, we're here for both because she has a counterclaim.
Yes.
We're here for both because she has a counterclaim.
Yes.
Just so happens that I'm taking care of her counterclaim first. Listen to me, Mr. Parker.
Yes.
You are to return to her within 48 hours. You can make arrangements and have somebody come to pick it up. Pick a mutually convenient time. The entire bedroom set, which includes the vanity, the night tables, the mirror, and your daughter's bed. That is to be returned to her within 48 hours. The refrigerator is to be returned to her within 48 hours at the same time. We understand each other, Mr. Parker? Yes. I'm going to hold off on this $100 for the entertainment center until I hear your part of the lawsuit against her, because you are suing her for substantially more than $100 in cash. Now tell me about this restraining order. Was a restraining order that she had against you?
Your Honor.
She had a restraining order against you?
She had a restraining order against me, but not against my daughter. I had the right to talk to my daughter. And here it is. This is from the court where they denied it. They scratched out Shara Parker, which is my daughter.
Let me see the restraining order. So you had a restraining order so that you weren't supposed to go near her, be around her. Is that right?
Right.
Judge Judy will be right back. Forced his mail-order bride, Pia, after 6 years. Now, he wants her punished for filing a false police report.
Now, is this the order of protection that you were forced to retain an attorney for, sir?
No, ma'am. It's not.
So then let me... Go ahead, let me hear.
Your Honor. This all boils down to I don't want.
Don't boil it down.
She
filed this restraining order.
She filed that restraining order.
And then what happened?
If you look in the next page, there's a telephone bill there.
Yes.
About the 9th line down, I may have it checked off in red. A 1-minute phone call. When she left my house, I told the police. I said I called the police when she was leaving. I called them. And I said, she has no right to harbor this child from me and take her from me. And she's done it before. She's taken off in these wild tangents and disappeared for 6 months up to 2 years. And I said, she has no right to do that. And I want to know where my daughter is. And so they went out and they got, she'll deny this, I don't think she remembers it. They got the address where my daughter would be and a phone number. Now, that phone number there for 1 minute on the 9th was a phone number. It's never been her phone number. It was a friend. And I thought that's where her daughter would be. And so I called that number to talk to my daughter. What was the date of that phone? September 9th, I believe?
The date of the phone call was
a few days after
9th.
I got back from vacation with my daughter. I call it. She yells and screams, "What right do you have to call me? You have no right to talk to me and call me." No.
Just a second. Did you answer the phone when he called?
Yes, I did.
What did he say to you and what did you say to him?
Oh, Elena, you're there. I found you. I know where you are at. I know where you are at. You're making a big mistake. You're making a big hole, digging a big hole. I know where you are at. And I say, don't call me. How did you know my phone number? He said, the police gave it to me. But Your Honor, I'm sorry. This is not the first episode of. This is not the first time I put a restraining order. He beat me up, and I had to put more than one restraining order in the past. This is not the first restraining order. This is the first time he has been served. He has been served. I have a history of the episodes of violence, domestic violence. He absolutely punched me on my nose, and a trip going to Yellowstone Park.
Are you telling me, sir, that based upon that 1 minute phone call, you were arrested?
Exactly what I have.
All right. When were you served with the restraining order, sir?
Before
or after you made the phone call?
It was before.
Well, if you read the restraining order carefully, sir, it says that you shall not contact.
Yes.
Contact. It doesn't say, this is an all-inclusive restraining order, even though it's a temporary one in character. It's a temporary one, but it says you shall not contact her. That's what it says.
My understanding is, though, that for my daughter, that I was allowed. This was, I was not to contact her, but down at the bottom of the page where they scratched it out and said denied, where she tried to get it where I couldn't call my daughter, it was scratched out.
No,
I did have the right to talk to my daughter.
No. Bottom line is, what happened to this restraining order when you went to court? You were arrested because you called the house.
I was not arrested, Your Honor. I was not arrested.
So how did you? What caused you to hire an attorney over this phone call?
She said because of that 1 minute phone call that I threatened to kill her if she felt afraid, and all these accusations that she's been doing for years to me, for years. And I'm tired of it. And she went down to the police department and made all kinds of false accusations. The police turned it over to the district attorney's office. The DA files charges. And when they looked at the whole picture, which I'm trying to explain to you, they dropped it. They just dropped it. But there is a history to this, and if Your Honor would allow me...
What is the tape you want to show me?
allow me to...
Can you... Yeah. There is a history of harassment.
Just a second. What is this tape that's supposed to...
This is a year ago, 95, before summer vacations, and 95, He did the same. He made a big deal before vacations with my daughter, with my little daughter. He always make a big deal. He thinks every time that comes for vacations, I'm going to hide my daughter. So he made threats on the phone. He harassed me on the phone.
Yeah, I'm curious. Were they very serious? Were they very serious threats?
Yeah,
just a second. Were they very serious threats?
Yes, they are very serious.
As very serious as everything else you've told me, Mrs. Parker?
Yeah.
Good. I want to hear it.
Judge Judy will be right back. Richard Parker divorced his mail-order bride, Pia, after 6 years. Now, he wants her punished for filing a false police report.
I want to hear it. Play it.
Play the tape.
Quiet. Is that the tape?
This will be my last one. I'm just telling you, whether you get a Spanish attorney or what kind of attorney, you need to get a good attorney. You're going to need a good one to give you good advice, because you're going to need it. You need to know what can happen, and I'm going to do it now. I'm going to take you to court, and I'm going to make your bleed until you bleed to death from your son of a bitch. You've always said, I don't care about my daughter. You don't care, you don't care. But now that I have the time to do things with her, you're trying to take her and deprive me of her. So it's not me, it's you. And you're going to need a good lawyer and good legal advice. Get it, or you're going to lose, and I will put you in jail. That is my goal, to see you sit in jail, and it can be done. Goodbye. But we were not going to spend any more money on attorneys, we're not going to fight, we're not going to cause our guts to have problems, but we're going to work together and cooperate. Do you remember? Not that long ago, right? But I know your sick mind, I know your paranoia, I know your crazy mind. If you'd have brought my daughter or let me have her peaceably and told her she was going to go on a nice vacation with her daddy, to see nice places, she wouldn't be saying no. You put the fear of God in her, you sick mother. You make her afraid. You put it into her. And the courts are aware of people like you. You're a sick, paranoid brain, that your paranoia coming out again. You can't deny it. Look at yourself. And I'm going to take you to court, and I am going to cause you, I'm going to declare legal war on you, Elena. You can't do this. I'm going to get it all over with now, because it's going to be like this for the rest of my life with you. So I'm going to get one program, Monday, message.
Is that it?
Yeah, that's it. That's all I
Well,
have.
we're having an argument with him, clearly, over his visitation during a period of time when he was supposed to have visitation, and there were problems over it. And what he's telling you is you better get a good lawyer, because if you're going to interfere with his visitation, he's going to wipe up the floor with you, which is exactly what he should do if, in fact, you were interfering with his visitation. These weren't the kinds of threats that are contemplated by an order of protection, Mrs. Parker. Somebody's been giving you bad advice, madam.
Your Honor?
No, he's going to talk now. If that's the worst of what he did, these were heated messages over the fact that he was supposed to enjoy visitation.
Thank you.
And you were doing something to interfere with that visitation, and he was very, very angry, and clearly you had just been to court and just resolved the issues of visitation, and then you left court, and within a relatively short period of time, the problem with visitation arose again. Is that what happened?
Basically, it is, Your Honor.
Well, that's what this tape suggests.
May I, with your permission?
Listen, sir. It's very late in the day, and I'm getting very, very tired. If that, as Mrs. Parker said, is the worst of the threatening that your former husband did, Mrs. Parker, you ain't seen nothing. Because I've seen real assaults. This trivializes domestic violence. This is not domestic violence.
I have a restraining order. I put.
Oh, well, that's unfortunate that some judge gave you a restraining order because of this kind of tape.
Thank you, Your Honor.
That's very unfortunate, and it's what makes men angry. It's what makes men angry, because unfortunately, some judges see a case and they say, gee, I better give everybody a restraining order because God forbid she gets murdered the next day, and if I didn't give him a restraining order, it's going to be my fault. That is nonsense. Absolute nonsense.
Judge Judy returns in a moment.
If that's the worst of it, Mrs. Parker, he's entitled to the money that he spent on a lawyer, if that's the worst of it. Because you got to stop going to court and filing for restraining orders for that sort of stuff. Do you have the attorney's bill, sir?
Yeah, I do, Your Honor.
Well, how much was the bill, exactly?
It was $3,000.
May I see it, please?
Yes, well, here's a copy of his statement, a copy of my check.
That's fine. You filed this temporary restraining order, which was ultimately dismissed by the district attorney because it was, in fact, let me see the dismissal, because it was, in fact, nonsense.
And there's a letter from my attorney with
I don't want to see the letter, but I do want to see the dismissal. And he has to be compensated for that. Because you file a restraining order, and if it causes someone else, like your husband, to have to spend money to defend it, and it is nonsense, you're going to pay. So you're going to pay him $3,000. And you, sir, are going, well, she's going to pay you $2,900. That's $100 less the entertainment center.
Yes.
And you are going to see to it that she has the bedroom set and the refrigerator within 48 hours.
No,
other than that, I am not entertaining your $2,000 request for, sir, for mental stress.
I understand it.
I hope, Mrs. Parker, you've listened to what I'm saying. I hope, put your hand down. I hope you have listened to what I've said to you. You have a child. Child is supposed to love both parents. I get the sense from Mr. Parker that he loves his daughter, that he wants to take her places, that he wants to take her on vacations. You will not control that. If you get a good judge in this case, in your custody case, the judge is going to tell you, no parent is supposed to control how a child feels about the other parent. And if you were two reasonable people, you could share her custody and both spend good time with her. If you can't, and if you're going to be rigid, you're going to lose custody of your daughter. That's all. Case is over.
That's all. You may step out.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Judge Judy returns in a moment.
I've been fighting this since way back in August when I took my daughter on vacation, and she fights me every inch of the way when I try to do something with my daughter or become close to her or take her on vacation. And I've been in other courts for other things that relate to this. And the legal system in this country is somewhat sick, but this makes me feel good. She thinks spies are following her. This is my ex-wife now. She thinks spies are following her. She thinks people are following her to kidnap the baby under ridiculous circumstances. When the kid's strapped in a stroller or with adults all over some woman's following us. She accuses me of domestic violence. I've never in my life had the police called on me in my life until I met that woman, and I couldn't even tell you how many times she's called the cops on me. In her mind, I don't think she's lying. I think she believes what she says. Well, it scares me for my daughter's sake. Is my daughter going to raise up with this constant, with a mother everywhere she takes her? Oh, we got to look out. Are you going to keep her locked up in the house? You know, when I take my daughter on vacation, I can tell after 2 or 3 days she starts to unwind and enjoy herself.
And now, the next case.
Parties on Edwards versus Lucid. Step forward, please.
Pamela Edwards is suing her daughter's ex-fiancé over a credit card, but it's the stripper incident that really makes her blood boil.
Mrs. Edwards, you say that your daughter, whose name is Tempo, was living with the defendant for about 4.5 years.
That's
is that
correct.
right?
Engaged to be married. Yes.
And during that time, you gave your daughter, who you say is disabled, a credit card.
Yes.
For her own use for emergencies.
Yes.
And that the defendant used it at times for his own purposes, and in addition, you made him some loans.
Correct.
And the loans and the credit cards came to $1,884.
Correct.
And then Mr. Lucid found someone new.
Found someone new? Yes.
Or a variety of people new?
No, he was working at a strip club in the Valley, came home after 4.5 years, told my daughter he didn't love her anymore and was leaving. And he was engaged to a stripper at the club, 35-year-old woman who's a mother of 3.
So he left your daughter?
He dumped her. Left her with everything.
Your Tempo, what's the nature of your disability, Tempo?
I'm a transplant patient, kidney transplant patient, and it failed, so I'm on dialysis right now.
Were you working during this 4.5 years?
I only can work part-time here and there because I am on disability. My doctor put me on as soon as my kidney failed because hemodialysis takes up a lot of the days, and I can't accept full-time jobs.
So who supported your household when you were living with Mr. Lucid?
Mr. Lucid did.
So he paid all the bills?
He paid most of them. I also had an income that did come in of $600, and that paid whatever.
$600 a month. Were there any purchases that you made on Mrs. Edwards' credit card that was strictly for your use, like clothes and things like that?
There were clothes that her daughter had purchased for me for work.
Well.
And for
clothes that
when
you
we
needed.
were running out, clothes that I needed when we were out of We used it for the gas so that I get her to and from. I was pretty much her sole transportation.
Let's talk about your clothes, because your clothes she can't wear. Gas you share. I mean, if you're in the
Your
same
Honor,
car.
I have the receipts with all the clothes he bought that last time highlighted.
Okay.
He said he needed a whole new wardrobe.
Show them to him.
Because when he
He knows
became
what
at this
they are.
new job, he had to become manager, and to become manager, he needed pants, shirts,
Yeah,
and ties.
shoes, ties, the best. Not the worst, the best.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment. Daughter's ex-fiancé over a credit card, but it's the stripper incident that really makes her blood boil.
Listen, Mr. Edwards, just look at the clothes.
Okay.
They're all your clothes. You don't expect Miss Edwards to buy you clothes, right?
No.
Okay, so you owe her that money. Did you pay her back for that, for the clothes?
No, at that particular moment I had not.
Well, let's talk
I
about
had
this
not.
moment.
At this moment, no.
Okay, so you owe her for the clothes. What's the total bill for the clothes?
$833.
Now, there was also a loan that you made to him.
Correct.
You say, a loan of $600?
It's for a bowling contract.
Okay. Tell me about that.
I have the contract here if you'd like to view it.
Did you borrow the money, Mr. Lucid?
In correction, her and I both borrowed the money. I was willing to.
Who was bowling?
I was.
And
Mr.
his
Lucid,
signature.
Put it down. I only have to look at that if he says that he doesn't.
Only his signature, not hers.
He's not. Your daughter isn't a bowler.
Right.
He's a bowler, and she's not wearing his suits. So these things are just for him. Right?
Correct.
All right, so that's $600. How much of that did you pay back?
That wasn't under my direct control. All I did was she controlled the money. I gave
Paid
her
one
my
payment of $50.
I sent my checks and signed my checks, and she put them in her bank account.
All right. The question is, Mr. Lucid, you seem to say in your answer that the reason that Miss Edwards is doing this is because she's being vindictive.
Mm-hmm.
Well, tell me about what you think her vindictiveness has to do with this lawsuit.
The words were to me that basically I should have left with just the clothes on my back, and everything that we'd put together for 4.5
Exactly how he
years
came into the
should
relationship.
have gone to her.
I would have shredded that new wardrobe and thrown it out in the streets.
When we got
before he
together
got
and
it.
I met him, all he had was a bed and clothes. That was
That's
it.
it.
And we split the bed together until I brought
And when
my
he
bed
left,
out.
he took the couch, the TV, the VCR, the videos, the fan, the kitchen appliances, the
Sports
cards,
memorabilia.
both their names, her ring, her diamond engagement ring.
No, I
he
didn't
took it
take
all.
the diamond
You
engagement
took.
ring.
I threw it
You
at
took the
you,
golden
but you
diamond
took it.
engagement
But I didn't buy it. But I didn't buy it for her.
Tempo.
As she still has
Sounds to me
a
as if you could have
1500.
still had at least the ring.
She still has one. She still has one.
Why don't you help your daughter get over it instead of making her feel more insecure about her ability to have a relationship?
I think that teach her how these guys screw her.
You don't have to
And I'd
teach
like
her. Tempo
to sue
sounds-
him for all the money that he still owes her. This is just my debt.
Miss Edwards, the only way to start fresh and to start getting over a bad relationship, whether it be a marriage or an engagement or just a relationship, is to put a period.
This will put a period between he and I.
It should hopefully put a period between this side and that side.
Well, more bills are coming in, Your Honor, every week. and
Miss
he says he's
Edwards,
not paying
listen to
anything.
me. You love your daughter?
Yes, I do. Very much.
Get over it. I'm serious with you. Every time you tell her about a new bill or tell her about something else,
She's
it
gotta
sort
pay
of. Listen to me. It scrapes the wound. She clearly is someone who was fragile medically.
Correct.
You don't want to exacerbate that. He turned out to be not the Prince Charming that she wanted.
Con artist.
All right. Well, no, I don't think
Far
so.
from it.
I don't think so. I think that you lived with somebody for
He
4.5
cared for me.
years.
Well,
he cared for her.
He cared for me for a couple of years. I saw it dwindling down. I saw it.
That sometimes happens. Don't take that away from your daughter. Don't make her feel as if he used her. That's not true. That'll only make her feel badly.
both agree.
Well, listen. Stop talking and listen. Don't you hear what I'm saying to you? If you diminish that sense that she has, that for a period of their relationship, he loved her as much as she loved him, that will make her feel badly. Why would you want to make your own child feel badly? He's going to pay you this money that he owes you. But what you have to do with your daughter is say, put a period, get on with your life. And you're not going to be able to do that for her as a good mother if you keep showing her the bills that you're getting every month for $100 or $200 or whatever it is. It's just going to make it worse.
But it is the other way around. She gets them and comes to me and says, Mom, now what am I going to do? I've got a new bill.
Tempo. happens. It happens.
I know.
Yeah. All right, so you're a lovely-looking, sweet person. I can tell that just from a couple of minutes that we've been talking together. You'll find somebody else. I mean, this lady that he found, that he replaced you with,
Yeah.
I'm not so sure whether that's going to turn out to be a whole wonderful, leave it to beaver relationship. I'm not 100% sure of that. Meanwhile, the court's ready to rule. Sir, you owe the plaintiff, let me do my quick calculations, for the items that you use, sir, for your own personal use, that I believe you owe to the plaintiff. I'm awarding her $1,400, and that includes your bowling fee from your bowling league and the clothes that were purchased that you wear on your back, whether to work or to play. Tempo, find yourself a nice guy, right? Don't let your mother drive you crazy. She's hurt. She's hurt because she's hurt because you're hurt.
She's good at testing him. She told me she didn't like him in the beginning. I should have listened to her.
Well, listen, my mother didn't like my first husband either. Have a good day.
Parties are excused. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
Parties on Petrosky, Pomeroli versus Vickery. Step forward, please.
20-somethings Julie Petrowski and Carrie Pomeroli and their girlfriend shared an apartment with Raymond Vickery. When things went bad, they say he stiffed them for the rent.
Order. All rise. Okay, Judge, this is a mouthful. This is number 63 in the matter of Petrosky, Pomeroli versus Vickery. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated.
Who's going to talk for the plaintiff? Who are you?
My name's Carrie Pomeroli.
Carrie. And you are?
Raymond.
Raymond. Okay. 4 of you young people decided to share an apartment together.
Correct.
How large is this apartment?
1,600 square feet.
3 bedrooms.
And somebody's father had a co-sign on the lease. Yours. And then you all signed the lease too. 3 girls, 1 guy. Big mistake. And there came a time, sir, that you decided you didn't like living there anymore.
That's right.
And that was a couple of months after you moved in?
Mm-hmm.
What didn't you like about living there?
Well, let's say we were entirely incompatible as roommates, and the friendship...
You mean you couldn't tell that before?
Before I moved in with them?
Yes.
No, I couldn't. I didn't know 2 of them before I moved in. I only knew 1 of them.
He was one of my best friends.
We were.
Okay, why were you incompatible?
Well, there were many differences in the way we live. We're very different people, as you can tell. There are obvious differences.
Well, the obvious differences I see, but you saw those at the time you moved in with them.
That's right.
So why did you decide to leave? Because you left, and they're suing you for the rent that you owe, plus your portion of the security deposit that her dad put up.
Right. Well, I left because there were many, many guests who would come on the weekends and during the week. I was never told that they were coming. I was never asked if I minded. These people always stayed in the common room on a sleeper sofa. I would wake up some mornings, walk out, work days, weekends, find total strangers to me, sleeping on the couch. This happened quite often. In addition, things were stolen from my room, from my bathroom.
Like what?
Just a minute.
What do you mean?
Hey.
I have,
Go ahead.
I have proof that things were stolen from my room.
Things, mail kind of things, shaving cream, that sort of stuff?
Documents that had my social security number on it and my credit card numbers. And on one instant, one of the plaintiffs threatened to use my social security number to undermine my credit rating.
We don't have any. Your Honor, he's lying.
Just a second. Who threatened you with that?
Carrie Pomeroli.
Your Honor, he's blatantly lying. You're blatant. Look me in the eye and say that, Ray. Look me in the eye. How could you do this to me?
The night I moved out,
Carrie,
Mark heard it.
Don't talk to him. What do you do for a living?
I'm a caterer. I just graduated from college.
How old are you?
23.
And you?
I'm 23.
And you?
22. 22.
You're the other roommate?
Yes.
So it wasn't working out. You had a 1-year lease? Is that what you had, or a 6-month?
6 months.
6-month lease. Now, according to your papers, you moved out in November, correct?
That's right.
And you paid up the landlord directly until the end.
Through the end of December.
Through the end of
Which means
December.
that I'm still paying today, and I have receipts.
So, let me see.
These are my payments highlighted. The final receipt says that I've paid only through December 14th. The $174.15, which is an overpayment for November, I'm counting towards the final amount.
So let us assume that you have paid the landlord directly, not these two young ladies.
That's right.
Rent through December. Right now, he doesn't owe you anything. Right now, he doesn't owe rent because he's paid up, according to his receipts, until the end of December. So why are you suing him now?
He's never paid the security deposit he promised.
Okay, just a second. Let's get to security deposit. If your lease goes through when? March?
March 19th.
Okay, and then I assume you're going to get your security deposit back. Correct?
Right.
I assume you're going to leave the place in good condition, and whatever money your father put in towards the security deposit, you're going to get it back. January, February, and March, those 3 months. So there's no need for him to pay any security deposit. Did you have men over at the house? Did you have people over at the house that you didn't discuss with him?
Friends. We never made any agreements
They
before
were friends
we
of Ray. As a matter of fact, we would all go out together, and they were friends from San Diego. And actually, Ben is a friend of yours, and he came in, and we have a sleeper sofa
Who
that
is
we
Ben?
all.
I don't know who Ben is.
Oh, that's a lie.
That's a lie. We were
Big
friends,
lie.
Your Honor. And when they slept over, they left early the next morning.
Listen, it seems to me you gals didn't think that there was any problem.
No, we wanted
He
to live
thought
with
that there was a problem.
He never brought it up until we decided to have a little meeting about getting things for the apartment. He never said one word until we decided to have a meeting.
The four of us, before we moved out, made an agreement that we would all buy furniture. Ray has not bought a single piece of furniture. He won't pay us for food. He won't pay us any money. When he agreed to tell us, we're not suing him for all the grocery money, hundreds of dollars. We bought him groceries. He eats our food. That's fine.
Well, if you're not suing him for that,
We just want our rent.
Just a second. Listen to me. His rent is paid up, so he doesn't owe you any rent. He doesn't owe. Shh, quiet. Have this. He doesn't owe the landlord any rent. Security deposit is going to be returned to you with the termination of your lease, which is in March. That way, Kerry, your father will not be out of any money.
He's out of money right now. I have a written letter from him.
He's not out any money now for security deposit because you get that back at the end of your lease.
More in a moment.
I mean, you can go like this all you like, but I'm telling you.
I didn't mean to.
But I'm telling you, I believe that there were things in the cloud.
20-somethings Julie Petrowski and Carrie Pomeroli and their girlfriend shared an apartment with Raymond Vickery. When things went bad, they say he stiffed them for the rent.
He has a counterclaim that I find interesting. He says that he was served with papers about this lawsuit 4 weeks ago. And at that time, he and several security officers from the complex where you were living came up to your apartment and described what you saw in the apartment when you got up there.
Well, I found a male in the common room
Your
with his
friend?
Listen. Shh. Go ahead.
He was someone that I was an acquaintance with. I don't even know his last name. He's certainly not a friend.
Oh, you visited him in
Just a-
Miami. You flew to Miami to visit him.
I flew to Miami? I've never been to Miami.
Listen to me. You folks are very. You folks are pretty theatrical.
I'm Italian.
You folks are pretty theatrical.
Wait, let's hear this, please.
You've got the plane ticket. Right
Okay.
here.
I'm sorry, Your Honor. You wanted to know what I found.
Yeah,
I've
you
never
found
been...
a male in the apartment. You knew who this person was, but clearly you didn't invite him to stay in the apartment.
No, I didn't. And I have a signed statement here from security saying that
I
we
don't
found...
take statements from security. Now, what did you see?
I found a closet full of clothes.
Where?
In my room, the room that I'm paying rent on, which you have the receipts for.
What kind of clothes, sir? What do you mean a closet full of clothes?
Men's clothes that did not belong to me. When I vacated the room, I left the room completely empty. I walked in and I found possessions all over the room. There was a closet full of clothes.
Look me in the eye and say this right.
There was a closet full of clothes. There was stuff on the floor.
You acknowledge that there was somebody in the apartment, this male, whether he knew him, you knew him. He certainly didn't invite him to come over to stay in the apartment because he'd already vacated the apartment, correct?
Absolutely.
Good. Now, according to your papers here, this person had come in just for a week or so to visit.
7 days. I was playing.
That's a week. 7 days is always a week.
Yes.
And when he came, he stayed with you.
Oh.
He stayed with you. Is that correct?
Correct. Absolutely.
How many bedrooms are there in this apartment?
3.
Tell me the sleeping arrangements.
Carrie has her own room. Sonia and I share a room. There's an empty room.
Now, the name of this young man who came over and was a visitor is what? Who invited him?
I did.
And where did he sleep?
On the sleeper sofa to pull out queen-size bed.
Why didn't he sleep in that bedroom that was
There's
empty?
no bed or
There's no
sleeping
furniture.
bag or blankets.
Did you take furniture out with you when you left?
Yes, I did.
So there was no bed in there.
There was no bed. There was a pillow and a sleeping bag.
We don't own a
Just a
sleeping
second.
bag, Your Honor.
Just a second.
There's no
Just a
sleeping bag.
second. There was a pillow and a sleeping bag?
Yes, Your Honor. There was a pillow and a sleeping bag.
Let me see here.
We don't know.
Just a second. Wait
Now,
a second.
Your Honor, I know you don't like statements, but the
I don't
security
like-
guard testifies that there was.
Just a minute. I don't like. Just a minute. Do I not like statements? No, I don't like statements. Oh, you do. Yeah, sure. Step up here. You look like a very reasonable young lady.
I'm nothing to do with theater, so I'm not very theatrical. Okay, here is the airline, the receipt from coming to visit. The evening that he's discussing, when he came in with the security guards and the police officer, I was in the kitchen and I was standing there putting my groceries away when Ray walks in, and I've dealt with him this whole time, and I know that we haven't had very good relations. So I see him walk in, and immediately I'm like, "What are you doing here?" So he starts walking immediately to the bedroom. Is standing right there. The police officers and the security guards are standing right there, and I'm looking at them like, "What's going on?" And they're looking at me like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "I don't know." And then he walks in the bedroom, takes a picture of the bedroom with nothing in the bedroom. Nothing is in the bedroom.
Who took a picture?
He did, with this little disposable
let me see
camera.
it.
He doesn't have it.
That's perfect. Let me see the picture.
The light was broken. I could not get a picture.
There was nothing in the. There were no lights in the Judy.
Your Honor.
Ladies. Sir.
Yes.
You don't take statements. I don't care what it suffices to say. A picture would have been nice here. But I'm looking all over here, and I don't see anything in your answer and to this complaint about seeing a sleeping bag. Did I miss something? You said things in a closet, but you didn't say anything about a sleeping bag.
Well, there was that falls under things in my room that don't belong to me. You know.
I don't believe that there was a sleeping bag in there, sir. I don't think that anybody would sleep in a sleeping bag if they had a sleep sofa.
Exactly.
No, but that doesn't. But I believe there were things in the closet. No.
Okay.
I mean, you can go like this all you like, but I'm telling you.
I didn't mean to.
But I'm telling you, I believe that there were things in the closet because I believe while this young man may have slept on the sleep sofa, he stored his stuff that he came with for the week in the closet. Does that sound right to you?
It sounds right.
Just tell you, does that sound right to you?
But
you know, I tell you what. You sit down because I have a truthful person right here.
Please listen to her.
Oh, I'm listening to her. She's telling me the truth in a very non-theatrical, straightforward way.
Judge Judy will be right back.
I could understand why 3 women, under certain circumstances, would want to live with one guy. Sometimes guys are handy, they can fix things, you know, they're strong, they can open jars. I can understand that. But I can't understand why a guy would want...
20-somethings Julie Petrowski and Carrie Pomeroli and their girlfriend shared an apartment with Raymond Vickery. When things went bad, they say he stiffed them for the rent.
You filed your lawsuit at a time when he didn't owe you a dime. But he had, just a minute, he didn't owe you a dime because he doesn't really owe you, he owes the landlord.
Right.
And you're not out any money as a result of that.
Well, here's our lease, and he's on it with his signature
So
till
what?
March.
So what?
But it's illegal
so
for
what?
him.
Just a minute, just a second, so what? He gave you notice. You should, as a matter of fact, keep trying very diligently to get another roommate.
Right.
If you don't, you certainly have the right to come back into a court and say, look, I have January, February, and March rent. I have not been able to find a roommate, and it was his responsibility. He's on the lease, and then you litigate that. But you don't get that now because it could be that tomorrow you will find a roommate, and then you will have not only his money, but you'll have your new roommate's money.
Well, we
so you
asked him
don't
to stay.
Just to say he doesn't want to stay with you, and quite frankly, I understand it. Women should live with women.
I agree.
Unless they're married, and men should live with men, because as much as my children try to explain to me why it's in vogue to have these mixed apartment dormitory kind of arrangements. I mean, when I went to college, you didn't get above the first floor if you were of a different sex. You know, they called upstairs and you came down. Now everybody shares a bathroom and they share common rooms. I don't understand that. I don't understand, sir, why you, a young man, would want to live with 3 women. It is mind-boggling to me. I mean, I could understand why 3 women, under certain circumstances, would want to live with one guy. Sometimes guys are handy, they can fix things, you know, they're strong, they can open jars. I can understand that. But I can't understand why a guy would want to live with 3 women. They're totally different. They got different nerve endings. They like things neat and orderly, and they like that vacuum cleaners and couches, and they like that. They like all the nice little amenities that make a nest, you know, and men aren't really interested in that most of the time, especially when they're 22 years old. Listen, he doesn't owe you anything. Now, look. Stop making a big deal out of somebody keeping their stuff for 7 days in your closet. You weren't planning to use it anyway, right?
Right.
Good. The complaint is dismissed. The counterclaim is dismissed. Go find a new roommate. Thank you very much. That's all.
Parties are excused. They step
You know, we were good friends once. This didn't need to escalate to this.
I don't know if he was jealous
of us having friends. There was a jealousy factor in there.
It was a wretched misjudgment on my part to think that I could live with these people. I've covered every track. I've paid every bill.
There was a lot of other money owes to my father.
What if we don't get a roommate? Then what do we do about
Then
what
we'll
we
see
own?
you back in court, Ray.
Off top and put cat litter in her engine. Dino says Brakey almost drove him crazy.
Order. All rise. Judge, number 7 on the calendar in the matter of Cortez versus Russillo. Parties have been sworn in, Your Honor. You may be seated. Sir, you can have a seat there.
Ms. Cortez, according to your complaint, you lived with the defendant for some period of time with your 8-year-old son. Is that right?
Yes.
And the relationship turned sour. You claimed that the defendant became violent. You separated, and he destroyed your car and your clothes.
Yes, Your Honor.
It's not true, Your Honor. None of that is true.
Well, my next question was really to you, sir, because I looked at your answer, and according to your answer, you did destroy her car and her clothes.
I did destroy her car, but it was because of the result of what she put me through. She'd taken all my money.
So, just a second. So you did destroy her car and her
Yes, I
and her
freely
clothes.
admit that.
All right.
It's just the fact that she said that I beat her and did other things is completely untrue.
I didn't say beat.
Okay.
I didn't say beat. I said you destroyed her car and her clothes.
Okay.
Well, you want to tell me why you did that?
Yes. Basically, I was, I fell in love with her. I met her on July 4th, 1994. And, I wasn't active socially. I didn't have a whole lot of experience dating and with women.
How old are you?
I'm 29. I was kind of old-fashioned, I was looking for an old-fashioned relationship. But I met her in a bar, which wasn't the best place, but...
Very proud, Your Honor.
I fell in love with her. And I knew there were some problems in the beginning, but I thought that my love for her and the fact that I wanted to be a father to her son would help us through these problems. So I stayed with her. I asked her to marry me. She agreed, enthusiastically said yes. After that point, though, the problems got worse, and I didn't understand why. And she quit working, and I was supporting her. And she filed a restraining order against me. She said that I was beating her. She said that I tried to molest her child. She put me in jail 4 times. And every time I just blamed her illness. And, I kept blaming her illness. And I thought I could help her.
I can stand here. He had been mentally abused me, saying that I'm sick in the head. I show all the evidence here. I'm not that sick. He is the one.
Finished. So why did you're getting to why you destroyed this property?
So, anyways, I felt trapped in the relationship.
Why did you feel trapped?
Because she said she loved me, and the woman that I fell in love with, she was turning into somebody. She wasn't the same person that I fell in love with. She was getting worse.
How?
She was delusional. She imagined
Give me an example.
She was imagining that I was flirting with her male friends. She
She accused me of flirting with a 13-year-old girl that was a friend of my sister's. She accused me of being a homosexual, which was completely untrue, and it was disturbing. The fact that this woman I could fall in love with could make these accusations against me.
And you continued to live together.
Well, I traveled with my job doing drug and alcohol awareness shows, and, you know, that would give me some time away, you know, and give her time away to try to sort through all this. But I supported her, and she cried many times and told me that she loved me and not to give up on her. She even claimed that she had psychological problems and needed help. So I paid for therapy. She went to a couple therapy sessions. I even gave up, excuse me, my life in Colorado to come back here to be with her. I sold everything I had. We went to one therapy session. It worked out great. And then 3 days later, she accused me of trying to molest her son and threw me out. And that's what led to the damage to her car and her clothes, because I was devastated.
So
I'd lost $20,000.
Tell me how you destroyed her car and her clothes.
Well, I cut up her soft top, and I put cat litter in her engine because I was pissed off. I was really upset, and I was frustrated at the situation that I could give up my life for this woman, and she's maliciously tried to destroy my entire life with false statements.
You put cat litter in her car?
Yeah, it's something I'm not proud of, Your Honor. I'm ashamed of what I've done.
Your Honor, can I tell you something with a lot of respect?
What kind of car is this?
It's a Chrysler, I'm not sure, LeBaron, I think.
Chevrolet Cavalier convertible.
A Chevy Cavalier.
Where is the car now? Madam, where's the car?
I had to fix it, Your Honor. I had the paper here at home.
The car is at home?
Yes.
And how much did it cost you to fix the car?
Total everything with my clothes, because it destroyed my clothes.
Just listen to me.
About
how much did it cost to fix the car?
About $2,000 approximately. Yes,
Not
I have
approximately.
the receipts here.
We don't do approximate. You're in court, so can I see the?
Your Honor, I have receipts here that show what I paid. I actually paid more than that.
Your Honor, can I tell you something? If you allow
Just
me
a second. We're going to get to you in a minute.
Thank you.
1 second. The bill is $1,465.
Yes, but in the pink one is showing they fixed the top of the convertible, and also I have
just a second. Fix the top of the convertible. The pink one is from June.
Yes, he did this in January. I've been waiting 1 year, Your Honor, to see justice.
She completely used me. She violated me. I felt completely betrayed by this woman. And I paid for it. I spent $3,500.82.
Okay. Well, that's what it comes to, the total between the top and the bottom. You paid $3,500?
And 82 cents.
Can I see that, please? Did he pay for this?
No, he did not.
And
He's a
Your
liar.
Honor,
He's
and
a
Your Honor,
liar.
You have the canceled check?
In addition,
Do you have the canceled check?
No, I have Western Union documentation right there. I also paid 4 months of her rent for 1996, the first 4 months. January through April.
I'm going to get to the rent for it in a second. Madam, it looks like he sent you a lot of money.
Yes, but that was before he did this damage, Your Honor. After when he did this,
Your Honor, I highlighted
when I
the
kicked
date.
him out of my house, he started sending me
you are mistaken. Because
no, I'm not.
Let me explain to you why. If you look at the yellow pieces of paper that you gave me, the yellow pieces of paper say that the car was repaired January 16th, 1996.
Yes.
And he has Western Union for January 8th, February 14th, February 16th, March 14th, March 10th. He has through May of 1996.
Your Honor, with a lot of respect, I'm afraid he might deceive you, your intelligence. You are a very intelligent woman, and I'm here to tell you the truth, Your Honor. This man, he can deceive the whole world, and that's why I'm frustrated here.
Ms. Cortez, do you have canceled checks? Your canceled checks for the work that was done on the car?
I have what?
Canceled checks.
No, I
don't. For the work that was done on the car.
No, everything I have here to show. This is all I got, Your Honor. And he did
Now,
not pay me.
Those are the bills. Show me how you paid. He has from Western Union. You don't work for Western Union, do you?
No, ma'am, I do not.
He has from Western Union charges for substantial amounts of money, starting from the time the car was damaged, for a 4-month period.
Your Honor, I don't know how this man did that, but he haven't sent any money. He have not. That's why
How did you pay to have the car fixed? Leave these here for a second.
I had to fix it because I had my little money saved under the mattress.
Your Honor, you had $3,500 saved under the mattress?
I had to pay little by little, and I paid, Your Honor. He did not pay me.
She threatened to blackmail me by having her son claim I molested him if I didn't pay her the money. She also refused to send me any receipts to validate her claim. She refused to accept any payment other than Western Union, which cost me a lot in fees. And
I
put me
see.
financially
This comes
in
directly
trouble.
from Western Union, madam.
Well,
you are the payee of all of these checks from Western Union.
He have not paid me, Your Honor.
I'm not sure about that, and I don't believe that anybody keeps $3,500 under their mattress.
Judge Judy will continue in a moment.
She went into the bathroom, but the person that came out of the bathroom was a totally different personality, Your Honor. She was swinging and hitting Dino with her purse violently. And I held her, I embraced her. I said, Jessica, what happened in the bathroom? She says, can't you see? And she was using vulgar language, calling him all kinds of names. That was the first.
Breaky Cortez says her lover, Dino Russillo, slashed her soft top and put cat litter in her engine. Dino says Breaky almost drove him crazy.
Who are you?
I'm his mother, Your Honor. Could I just
Were you a witness to any of these transactions?
I was witness to her change of personality, Your Honor.
Now listen to me. Were you a witness to any of these financial transactions?
Yes, I knew my son was wiring her money because he would call me. He was on the road most of the time, so she had the freedom here to do whatever she pleased. Your Honor, he met her at a strip bar. She was a dancer at the time.
Madam.
What happened was I didn't want to judge her in any manner. I was happy that Dino had met someone that he had fallen in love. So I just kind of overlooked a lot of things that were occurring. She refused to meet the family till they had been going together for about 8 months. He spent the holiday season of '94 with her and her son, and he loved her. I had never seen a man fall in love like this. He was just head over heels over her. So he invited her to the house, Your Honor. We had a lovely evening. She has a beautiful side to her personality that's very radiating and very caring. And that particular night, we were karaokeing together, and we were having a wonderful time. She said, may I use your bathroom? She went into the bathroom, came out, but the person that came out of the bathroom was a totally different personality, Your Honor. She was swinging and hitting Dino with her purse violently. I stood between them, and I tried to hold her because I couldn't understand what had occurred in the bathroom. You know, from the time she went in to the time she came out. She accused him of flirting with a 13-year-old, which was my daughter's friend that was visiting us. And I held her, I embraced her. I said, Jessica, what happened in the bathroom? She says, can't you see? And she was using vulgar language, calling him all kinds of names. I knew there was a problem. He ended up taking her home. That was the first encounter. The second encounter, Your Honor, was when he came to pick me up to take me to the doctors because I was very ill. She came too. She helped me get dressed that morning. Jessica, you were very nice to me. You know, drove me to the doctor. Everything was fine till we got to the doctor, except on the way there, I noticed that she was showering him with compliments like, oh, you're so beautiful, and you're so handsome. You're, you know, just, it didn't seem natural. He was so head over heels in love with her that he was totally blind of everything she was doing.
Okay. I just settled in small claims court for $1,740 for money she stole from me for that ring. But again, I blamed her illness, and I just...
Can I see that, please?
Judge Judy returns in a moment.
He took a bottle of oil and he spilled it all over my closet, my clothes.
How much was the clothing worth that he destroyed? He admits he destroyed the clothing.
For everything, I asked him $4,000.
Forget $4,000. Don't even, listen to me. Don't even think $4,000.
Breaky Cortez says her lover, Dino Russillo, slashed her soft top and put cat litter in her engine. Dino says Breaky almost drove him crazy.
I would let you see into his eyes. And this is a demon. When he was choking me and trying to strangle, and after he beat me, he threw me in jail. And I asked the policeman to give me an attention, and they threw me in a cold cell. I was treated unhumanly because this psycho, he is sick. He is sick.
You owe him $1,700 from a small claims case that he filed against you. Did you pay him?
No. He also...
Did you pay him?
No, I didn't.
Why not?
Because I'm going to explain you that, Your Honor. He did that after, all the walls, the holes that he did on the wall, because he had a very violent nature.
Why didn't you pay the $1,700 that a judge said?
He was not, that money was not given for the diamond ring. I told him that I was not going to take things from him because he take it back. Every time he give you something.
Why? That doesn't tell me why. A judge told you you had to pay $1,700. Why didn't you pay that to him?
Because I have 30 days to appeal that, Your Honor. I'm not happy with that. This is a compulsive liar, Your Honor. He's a liar.
Madam.
That's not true, Your
listen
Honor.
to me. Right now, he has proof that he sent you the money for the car, more than the car was. That's more than $3,500. More.
That was before.
Just a second. More. And it wasn't before, it was after. Because I've looked at your bills, and I've looked at the date, but Western Union says he sent you the money. It was after, not before. Now, tell me about the clothes. What clothes did he destroy?
He took a bottle of oil, and he spilled it all over my closet, my clothes. You see, Your Honor, this is not a normal behavior. This man is sick. And I can imagine that he get a lot of credit for, look at this.
Madam, what clothes did he destroy?
It's also not normal to call someone a homosexual and accuse them of molesting your son.
Listen to me. How much?
You think this is normal?
Hey!
Yes.
How much was the clothing worth that he destroyed? He admits he destroyed the clothing.
For everything, I asked him $4,000.
Forget $4,000.
That's a lie.
Don't even.
That's a lie.
Listen to me. Don't even think $4,000. Don't even think $400. I'm asking you the clothes. I find that he paid for the car.
And the
he
clothes.
Paid. Just a second. He paid for the car. How much did your clothes cost that he destroyed?
Well, about $2,000.
I'm not going to give you a thing now,
Okay.
because if that's what you're bringing me, that he destroyed, and that's the best, I assume you're bringing me the best things that he destroyed, that's not $2,000 worth, madam. This is not a giveaway. Now, you have a counterclaim, sir. I want you to just listen to me.
Okay.
I don't really understand what your counterclaim is for.
Okay.
Your counterclaim is for the fact that you prepaid some rent for her when you moved back from Colorado?
No, ma'am.
Or what's your counterclaim for?
Counterclaim is misrepresentation. She lied to me. She told me she loved me. She told me she was going to get into therapy. And she said she needed help in supporting her because she was depressed and couldn't work. So I support her. I wouldn't support somebody with money I don't really have. I was cleaning out my bank account if I wasn't in a serious relationship.
Then what you do, sir, is next time you do it better.
She also slandered my name. She called me a homosexual. She told people that I was violent, that I was beating her. She would try to blackmail me by saying I molested her son.
Listen to me and listen to your mother.
Oh,
okay.
Your mother's,
Your Honor.
Listen to me and listen to your mother. You told me at the beginning that this was the first serious relationship that you had. At least your mother saw from the beginning, and according to you, you even saw from the beginning that there was, according to you, a certain instability.
But nothing like what happened.
Listen.
Okay.
You weren't smart enough to get out before there was trouble.
Okay.
You continued in the relationship despite the fact that there was trouble. You know, maybe the physical part of the relationship was something new to you. Whatever the reason, you decided to stay in it.
Your Honor, he was possessed.
Well,
almost like he was under a spell.
Is your last name Russillo?
No, Higa.
I could, Your Honor.
You don't, listen to me, you don't get paid for that. That's a misjudgment. That's why when you meet somebody and you go out on it, just listen to me, madam. When you meet somebody and you go out on a date, you decide to have a relationship and it doesn't work out because the person isn't the kind of person that you thought they were, whether it's a bad character, whether it's a psychological problem, whether it's just bad chemistry, if you stay in that situation, because you're possessed. You don't get paid for that later.
I understand that,
Good.
but that's not what
very
he was
good.
claiming.
So your lawsuit, madam, is dismissed. Your counterclaim, sir, is dismissed. Think better the next time, sir. Now you've had a relationship. It's cost you a lot of money. Shouldn't happen again. That's all.
Thank you. Excuse. Step out, please.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
This man, I show the evidence. This just a sick person can do it, sir. And I did not see justice because this is sneaky, very tricky, liar, deceitful, and this is the result. You know, I'm showing what he done. He admitted he's sick. He's sick in the head.
I hope she gets the help she needs for her and her son both.
Don't get too close. He's very violent. And he is very sick person.
Harm,
okay,
we do
he
hope you get
admitted
help.
that he's sick in the head.
You need help, Jessica.
You need
we
help.
pray that
you need
that
help.
you get help.
You and your
okay?
son, because you have
For
to
the
see
sake of your
the
son.
dildos. That,
Get help.
I
Look
know
at his
you.
eyes.
Get
Look
help.
at his eyes.
Get
His
help.
eyes are fine, Jessica.
Okay, get help.
Just get help, please.
For your
the
son's
sake
sake.
of your
Idra says the son of his next-door neighbors, John and Joyce Clark, admitted stealing his cash. The Clarks say no way, and John Jr. is missing.
Order. All rise. Judges number 51 on the calendar in the matter of Saavedra versus Clark. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated.
Mr. Saavedra, you claim in your papers that the defendant's son stole cash from your house, $2,700.
Yes.
What's their son's name?
John Clark Jr.
Where is John?
Missing.
He's missing from your home?
Yes.
How old is he?
14.
Is this the first time he's been missing?
Yes.
When did he run away?
Thursday.
This past Thursday? Did it have anything to do with this case?
No.
What precipitated him running away?
I don't know. He just ran away. I don't know. He just left home.
Didn't come
Went
home
to
from
school and didn't come back home.
Notify the police?
Yes.
Has he had any trouble before this? Has he been in
Before-
trouble before this running away? Ever been arrested before?
No.
What makes you think that their son took the money from your house, and what were you doing with $2,700 in cash in your house, Mr. Saavedra?
What had happened, Judge, is back in January, around the week of the 20th, I was going to have some work done to my home. So I contacted some contractors, and to get a break in the price, they were cash-only people. So I had taken money out the week before because it's just more convenient for me. And I placed it in my daughter's plastic jewelry box, and it was a locked jewelry box. We put it in there. Come about the Thursday of that week, the contractors were coming out that Friday, I believe, yeah. And we went to the box to find the money, and the major part of it was gone. We went to...
Was John a friend of your daughter's?
John Clark Jr., their son, was like my son. We used to joke that I was like a second father. He was allowed in my house just like my children were allowed in the house. So he was allowed anywhere in the house, any time of the day or night that he wanted to be in there. Even if we weren't home, he was allowed in there. So that's how he got into the home. And on with the story is that I thought at first it was my son. So I contacted, I went next door to find if my son was there, because they were always either at their house or at my house.
Is this your son?
My son's not here.
Your son's, where is he?
My son's in Texas with my brother. He went to go to school up there.
Okay, go ahead.
And we talked to him, and my son said he didn't do it. And at that time, Johnny said they didn't do it. And I said to Joyce, and her brother was there, I said, I'm not going to press charges or anything because I just love the two kids so much. And I went back home and I called their mother, and I told her, there's a big problem here. I'm missing $2,700.
You mean you called your children's mother?
Yes.
You're divorced?
Yes, we're going through divorce. I have custody of the children.
Okay.
And she came up later on. That she was at work, and she got off work, and she came up to the house. And at that time, my daughter was at a friend's house. So we called the parents where my daughter was at, and they brought my daughter. We're bringing my daughter. At that time, Kathy went next door and got Joyce and Johnny, little Johnny. And they came over, and Joyce and little Johnny were there, and little Johnny said that he stole the $2,700.
Did he
and
say
we asked
why?
him at that. Excuse me.
Did he say why?
He said just to do it. He said he told us, and I just couldn't believe what he had said. He said, "I've been like stealing since I've been like 5 years old, but I had known the boy for about a year and a half, and he had never done nothing like that, and I'd been very close with him, and I'd never seen him do anything like that at all. So I was appalled to hear something like that." And then we asked him, "Well, did our son have something to do with this?" He said, "No, I took it all by myself."
Did he say what he did with the money?
He said he bought a few things and basically just gave it away to all his friends at school and his neighbors and everything.
You were there when this conversation took place?
Yes, Jim, when he came over, he said he had $1,100 missing from his house. That he was not accusing nobody because he didn't see anybody take it, but he didn't want my son at his house no more or his son at mine. And that was that. He left. A couple of days later, he called, wanted to talk to my husband. He told my husband he took that $2,400 was missing. A couple of days later, it was $2,600. Then it was $2,700. He's been to the house. We've moved since then. He's come to our house, left notes on the car, steady accusing him of taking the money.
What I'm asking you is, you were there when your son admitted that he took the money?
My son didn't admit taking the money.
He says that you were there in
My
his
son
house.
did not admit taking the money.
Well, what did he say?
He said he didn't take it.
Your Honor, not only was I there, she was there.
Who's
and
she?
Kathy was there, and Nicole was there.
Who was Kathy?
This is Kathy.
Step up, please. Were you present on the day when young John Clark admitted taking this money?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
And he admitted taking
Where
it.
were you?
We were all sitting at the kitchen table.
Who was there?
Joyce, Johnny, Jim, myself, Nicole, and Jimmy. And Johnny...
Jimmy is your son?
Yes. And Johnny wouldn't look at you the whole time. You just kept looking down, wouldn't look at you.
Well, who was asking him questions?
We all were. Joyce and Jim and I.
Well,
and he said exactly what Jim said. He took it
Your Honor.
because he wanted the money. He blew it on clothes, blew it on everybody.
Your Honor, my son didn't take anything from Jim now. I buy my son everything that he comes and asks me for at my house. Jim noticed and he's seen new tennis shoes, new shirts, new clothes, new jerseys and all. And I was buying practically every 3 months for my son.
Sometimes children don't take things, sir, because they have a need.
I understand that.
You understand
but he's
that.
saying that my son went in his daughter's room in a jewelry box and took some money out of there. That's phony. How?
You don't, sir, you don't know that. You don't know that.
I asked my son.
He doesn't know that either.
I
We
asked
didn't
my
see him take that
son,
money.
did he
Your
take any
Honor?
money
Not
from
any
Jim?
money.
He said, no, Daddy, I ain't take no money from Jim. I said, well, why would Jim be accusing you of this? He said, Daddy, I don't know. Jim would call him over there to come over to their house and stay and play and stuff. And it's no problem. I have to go get my son from over there staying too long. And then now he comes and say he goes in Nicole's room and takes some money out of there.
No,
what
no.
is it?
Just listen to me.
$2,700 going in the daughter's room.
Mr. Clark, Mr. Cepedra did not accuse only your son. He came also, according to his statement, which I believe, looking for his own son in your house to find out whether his son took the money.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
These people, it seems to me, were not looking to get your son. They wanted to find out what happened with the money. He was a good person to your son. He was like another parent. But what they're saying is that sitting around their kitchen table, your son admitted that he took the money. Your wife says that that's not true.
Adra says the son of his next-door neighbors, John and Joyce Clark, admitted stealing his cash. The Clarks say no way, and John Jr. is missing.
Somebody took money out of his house. And it would seem to me that you would be a little more sympathetic with him, because from what he says, he had a wonderful relationship with your son. You seem to agree with that for a very long time. Years?
Yes, it was years.
A couple of years, he did. And when he shipped his son off, he would come get my son, take him place and stuff. That's why I don't see how he could think my son would take his money.
Because your son admitted it.
He did not.
You know, Your Honor, this is what is a shame. She sat there crying.
Just a second, sir.
What do you mean by the shame? You might have took the money.
Mr. Clark.
Talk to the judge.
Mr.
Talk
Clark.
to the judge, sir.
I don't know.
Mr. Clark. First of all, I want you to listen to me very carefully, sir. You weren't in the kitchen at this time, right?
Right.
So you don't know what went on in the kitchen. Whatever you're either hearing from these people or you're hearing from your wife. So you don't know. So stop getting angry because you don't know. Right?
Yeah.
These people, it seems to me, were not looking to get your son. They wanted to find out what happened with the money. He was a good person to your son. He was like another parent. He took him places and did things with him. You didn't want to believe that anybody, either his son or your son, took property from his house. But what they're saying is that sitting around their kitchen table, your son admitted that he took the money.
Yes.
Now, that's what these two folks are saying. Your wife says that that's not true.
It's not.
Yeah, I'm not so sure.
Well,
I'm not so sure. I'm not so sure. Now, I'll tell you something. John left your house. You don't know why he left your house.
if I know why, but I don't see what that has to do with this here.
Well, I just asked you before if you knew why he left. You told me you didn't know, so that wasn't the truth. Right?
Yeah.
And if you don't want to tell me why your son left the house, I'm not going to force you to tell me, because that might in some way prevent him getting home. But I can assure myself that for whatever reason he left the house, it was because he was in trouble. Trouble with you, trouble with the law, trouble with drugs, trouble with something. Because otherwise children don't run away from the house. It's a home where his father says he's given everything that he wants. He doesn't want for anything, right?
Right.
So there had to be a good reason in his mind that he left, and the only kind of good reason is that he was in trouble. Do you have any other witnesses, sir, that you want me to hear?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
Who is that?
I have a friend of the family that was in around to finish the story out is later on I found out through children in the neighborhood, because my house is kind of like a gathering place. I have like a basketball court, and it's just a big gathering place for the kids of the block and all around the neighborhood to come and play ball and to meet. And she saw. You want her to say, or you want me to tell her what she did?
No, I want her to tell me.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Johnny was walking by, and my cousin asked him where he got his jersey. And Johnny said Mervin's, and my cousin said that he was going to ask his dad to buy him one. And Johnny goes, here's, he gave him $4.20. He goes, here, go buy yourself one. And then my cousin said, hey, thanks.
Son of his next-door neighbors, John and Joyce Clark, admitted stealing his cash. The Clarks say no way, and John Jr. is missing.
I came to spend the weekend with my grandpa and my grandma, and everybody was playing basketball at Jim's house, and Johnny was walking by, and my cousin asked him where he got his jersey. And Johnny said Mervin's, and my cousin said that he was going to ask his dad to buy him one. And Johnny goes, here's, he gave him $4.20. He goes, here, go buy yourself one. And then my cousin said, hey, thanks. And then that's when I saw the money.
Well, other than the $4.20s, did you see any other money?
Yeah, he had like a wad of money.
Remember when that was?
Not really.
Who did you tell about this?
I went to my friend Nicole, and told her about it.
And was Nicole the one who told you about it?
money?
Seeing him with the money. Did she tell you about it, or did someone else?
Nicole told me, my son told me.
Okay. Have a seat. All right, the only question that I have for you, Mr. Saavedra, is I want to know from you, sir, exactly how much money was taken from the room.
I had $3,400. At the end of it all, I had $700. They put about, I don't know, about not even $100 they left on the table for me.
Who left $100?
The Clarks. I don't know if Johnny or her had it, because I wasn't like watching, but they put the money on the table, so this is what's left.
You mean?
But I had.
Did you?
Your Honor.
Miss Clark, does that sound familiar to you?
No, it doesn't.
Miss Clark.
Yes.
Are you standing there and
I'm
telling
nervous,
me?
but
Are you standing there and telling
something
me?
else that's going on.
Are you standing there and telling me that you or your son didn't take out $100 when you were sitting around this kitchen table?
I was not at their house.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Joyce, you know what?
Phaedra says the son of his next-door neighbors, John and Joyce Clark, admitted stealing his cash. The Clarks say no way, and John Jr. is missing.
What did you want to say?
Your Honor, I was just going to bring that up. The money they left on the table, and she told Jim, "I'm sorry, that's all that's left." Joyce, you know what? Jim asked me if you would lie. I said no, you wouldn't lie. You're
not
sitting there
lying.
shaking because you're lying.
I'm shaking because of
you're
what
lying.
my son is going through.
Because you're
lady.
lying.
No, listen to me,
You better shut up
Mr.
talking
Listen to me. There's no. It's not necessary.
You know what's so sad? She sat there. My son was in tears. My son was
Your
in
son
tears
probably
because
with that money.
Right, that's what you want to believe
Mr.
now,
Clark,
right?
Mr. Clark, listen to me, sir. Listen to me. Your son's not here in person to tell me exactly his side of the story if he has one. You weren't there. These people, as far as I'm concerned, have absolutely no reason to lie. They were fond of your son. They were close to him. They legitimately liked him. This young lady, I don't think, has any reason to lie that your son was walking around with a big wad of bills and handing it out. Your wife, on the other hand, has a substantial reason not to tell the truth. Listen to me, she has an interest in not telling the truth. I believe, based upon what I've heard at this civil hearing, and this is a civil hearing, that there is sufficient evidence, more evidence than not, that suggests, based upon your son's own admission, which I believe took place at that kitchen table, that he did in fact take this money. Now the question is, your son is 14 years old, he's not around. Are you therefore responsible for the money that he took, their money? And I believe that you are, because somebody has to be responsible for your son's actions. I tell you right now, I might be more sympathetic to both of you if I heard the truth. But I didn't. I heard lies and excuses. And I think that that's terrible. I don't think that your son is going to grow up any better unless you come to terms with the fact that he has some problems and not try to cover for him. The judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $2,700. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you. You may step out.
Judge Judy will return in a moment.
I want him to come home. That's all I have to say.
Yeah, come on home, son. And he didn't take any money from Jim. I don't know why in the hell he come up with this and put this on my yard and all that. That's why your son is not here either. Because your son,
My son is
probably
missing.
took the money himself and spent it.
Call the sheriff's station to find out if he's missing. Right. Yeah.
Judge, come on home, son.
I'm just sorry that it turned out this way with the Clarks. We were such a tight family. I spent Christmases with them. We spent Easters together. Me and little Johnny Clark, just loved him. No, I don't feel like I was betrayed by Johnny. He just has problems that need to be solved. I love Johnny Clark. And if you are out there, please come home. Please. Nothing's going to get solved this way. It's all over, so come on home and straighten it up.
Tracy DeLoya dances with lizards. She claims pet store owner Tim King sold her reptiles when she wasn't looking.
Order, all rise. Your Honor, this is case number 3 on the calendar in the matter of DeLoya versus King. Parties have been sworn in. Judge, you may be seated. Have a seat, please.
Mr. Lawyer, according to your complaint, the defendant sold your 2 pet monitor lizards.
Yes, Your Honor.
What's a nice gal like you hanging around with monitor lizards for?
I do a magic show. I'm a female illusionist, and I have 2 African Savannah monitors I trained, and they were part of my co-star as well as part of my family. I have a videotape here. Can I bring this to you to show when they were more of a babies I used in the show? And these are also pictures of my magic show as well, my promotion. That's
okay, well, I would like to see what a monitor lizard looks like.
Well, they're much bigger now. That's when they were babies at 3 years old. But, I mean, this tape will show you how lovable they are. I mean, monitor lizards have teeth. They can bite your fingers off. And these ones I swam with, took naps with, drug them around on my show and showed them to everybody. And they're very,
Why in the world would you want to take a nap with a monitor lizard? Whew. Got to see more than the lizard here, Mr. Lawyer. Okay, to return that. Let me see this. What these things look like in action.
There he is. He has a bow tie like mine. See, so you can see they're lovable.
All right, and now I know what a lizard looks like, and I know what that is. Let's go. So you brought them to the defendant to board your lizards because you were moving to California. When did you give them to him?
In January.
In January?
Yes.
January of '96. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. And you were supposed to come and pick them up when?
At this time, at the end of February.
All right. What financial arrangements did you make with him?
Okay, at this time, it was $30 a month boarding fee.
For each one or for both?
For both of them.
Yeah.
And I gave them a couple of lizards in advance, a couple baby lizards for taking care of them as well. So at this, I dropped them all off and their cage, and he seemed sincere at the time. If I didn't seem like I could trust him, I wouldn't have left my pets there. But he understood I wanted my own cage there. That was just going to be for a time being.
So you left them the lizards in January, and according to your complaint, you did not come back for them in February.
In March, I sent him a check, which he denied getting, but later on he did admit that he did get. And then...
In March, you sent him a check for how much?
$30.
And you had paid him for January and February in advance?
In March. Now it's, January, February in advance, and now we're paid through to March.
Okay, so but you didn't come back for the lizards in March.
Then this is where it changes, and this is a verbal agreement. This is a verbal from now, because I have the receipt for the other part. Then they laid 8 eggs. My babies had 8 eggs. So Tim had said that he wanted to raise them. He wanted to hatch the eggs, and he would, don't worry, quote unquote, we'll work out a deal. So this time.
And you had this conversation with him directly?
Over the phone. I was under the assumption that I had credit, because he said, don't worry, we'll work out a deal. Okay. So later on, when I went and I checked, I only went in a couple times. I never heard from him. I left him an 800 number to call me, so he didn't have to pay for the phone call if anything at all was going on with the lizards. Never heard from Tim. Then I had my friend going down to Tucson, and that's where Jim comes in. Would you please tell him what happened?
What's your name, sir?
My name is Jim Keeler. I'm from Phoenix.
Yes, Mr.
I'm a good friend of Tracy's. I mentioned to her that, hey, I'm going to go down to Tucson tomorrow. And she says, hey, while you're down there, would you go by the pet store and check up on my lizards?
When was this, sir?
Gosh, let's say, I can recall the date. I'd say maybe...
Let's have the month.
September, the beginning of September.
September of 96. So, go ahead.
I went down there. I had a friend that came with me, and we walked around the store, acting like we were just customers. And we went around, and a gentleman approached me, and we started asking questions about other things in there. And next thing you know, I popped the question about, hey, do you happen to have a couple breeding pairs of Savannah monitor lizards? And the guy replied, well, we did. And I said, because I was looking to buy them. I'm just kind of like acting dumb. And the guy went ahead and said, we already sold them. It's too late. And I asked him, well, how much did you get for the lizards? He goes, we got $1,500. I thought it was Tim. When I came back to Tucson, hey, Trace, I got some news to tell you. They sold the lizards already. And she goes like, what? And I go, well, I talked to Tim. I met Tim myself, and I thought it was Tim because the guy knew everything about the store.
But it turns out not to be Tim.
Correct. I did not know that until we...
All right, but it wasn't Tim.
No, it wasn't Tim. It was a guy that knew, I guess, somebody that knew everything about the store and that wasn't an employee there.
So, for whatever price you sold her lizards, tell me why, sir.
Okay. She dropped the lizards off, like she said, and gave me $60 and 2 lizards as payment for the period that she left them there, which she was supposed to pick them up on February 1st. The only contact I had with her was through Dave, who is her ex-boyfriend, who is her live-in fiance. And this lady here, who was one of my customers who comes in my store 3 to 4 times a week. And essentially, in a nutshell, these lizards were left at my store, and I made no contact with Tracy. She did not leave me a 1-800 number. She can attest to this. She comes in every 2 to 3 times.
I have it on my receipt. If you look at the paperwork I gave you, it shows a 1-800 number completely on there.
Well, I'd like to take a look at it, but it really doesn't make any difference. He doesn't have to call you. You have to keep in touch with your property. Yes.
David Adams, the male she's referring to, which is my fiance, maybe in that time frame went to his store maybe a total of 6 times.
Did you go with him?
I go 4 to 5 days a week. David
Why?
Adams doesn't have...
I'm curious. Why would you go to a pet shop?
I have 20 reptiles.
What kind?
Every kind you can think of.
Are they nice pets?
I love them as my pets, yes. I do have 2 of her reptiles that are
Dave.
siblings, yeah.
Your Honor, Suzanne and me have a rival going on from years because I dated her fiance, so she's only here from hearsay from Tim, and she doesn't even like me. I mean, this is a whole different soap opera matter now. It gets better.
Listen, I'm too old to get all this complication in what appears to be a relatively simple case. You boarded your lizards for 2 months and gave him 2 months for January and February at $30 per month. Then I believe you that you sent another check for $30 to cover March. So now you have your lizards taken care of for 3 months.
But I had 8 eggs credit.
No, I don't think so. Did you give her a credit for 8 eggs?
Your Honor, the eggs were laid and the eggs were not fertile and they didn't hatch, and she's living in a dream world if she thinks that they hatch. The lizards, I want to give you these. These are 6 independent companies who sell Savannah monitors, and the prices are not, and this has nothing to do with me. These are companies, some in California, some in Florida. These lizards are sold for $18 to $25 wholesale. And if she thinks that she could get $1,000 a piece for them, I told her when she came in the store I would be more than willing to give her lizards in the cage back if she would pay me for the boarding fees that she legitimately owed me. And I also asked her, if you were so in love with your lizards and so caring for the lizards, why didn't you call me?
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
I can't imagine anybody who feels that way about a pet. Leaving a pet in a store, in a cage.
Loya dances with lizards. She claims pet store owner Tim King sold her reptiles when she wasn't looking.
How much did you pay for these lizards, Mr. Loya?
I paid $400 a piece when I originally got them when they were only this big.
How much did you sell these lizards for?
I owed the person who owns a Goanna ranch in Tucson, Arizona, $150.
Court has to make a determination as to whether or not, Mr. Loya, you in fact abandoned your property. And if you, in fact, abandoned your property, it doesn't make any difference whether he sold these lizards for 50 cents a piece or for $5,000 a piece. Doesn't make any difference.
But Your Honor, I trusted...
Don't give me a but. You spoke. Now I'm ruling. Now you have to listen. I read your complaint, and your complaint talks in terms of these animals as being part of your family and how close and nurturing you were to them, etc. I can't imagine anybody who feels that way about a pet. Leaving a pet in a store, in a cage, for 8 months, because it seems, according to you, according to what you told me a couple of minutes ago, you slept with them, you napped with them, they were cuddly, you enjoyed them. How could you leave your cuddly, adorable monitor lizards in a cage for 8 months? So I don't believe that they were part of your family. I believe that you were probably annoyed that he sold them, and according to the statement of this person in the store, for $1,500. I'm not so sure that they were sold for $1,500. I don't know exactly how much they were sold for, but certainly people in a store who operate a business tend to puff, which means if you came in, sir, and you said, I want to buy a pair of breeding monitor lizards, and they thought that they had a good customer, somebody might say to you, well, we had a pair, they were sold for $1,500, but if you want another pair, we can get you another pair for $1,500, therefore jacking up the price. That's also a possibility. I will never. Which is true. Of course it's true. I bring to this job not only a knowledge of the law, but also some common sense based upon life's history. So, Mr. Loya, the only thing the court has to determine is whether or not you, in fact, abandoned your lizards. And I find that you had an arrangement with this gentleman to care for those lizards through March. You paid for... Don't say excuse me. Just listen. Through March. And after March, you had no arrangement with him. He kept those lizards...
That's not true.
That's what I find is true, madam. He kept them March, April, May, June, July, August, and September without any communication from you, without any payment from you for boarding the lizards, and then he sold them. The judgment in this case is for the defendant. Thank you very much.
Parties are excused. You may step out. Here you are.
Oh, by the way, Mr. King, that doesn't mean you get your boarding costs. I'm not addressing your countersuit. I'm not exactly sure how much you sold the lizards for, sir. Whatever you sold them for, you cover your boarding costs at 6 months at $30 each.
Parties are excused. You'll step out to your right.
The fact of the matter is, she left the lizards there from March till September, and she did not make any contact with me. The lizards were only worth a minimal amount of money. I was willing to give the lizards back to her, and the cage, it's just taking up room in my store, and I really don't need it. And she didn't want it. She wasn't interested in picking the lizards back up. She was only interested in because she heard that they went for $1,500.
That hurts me a lot. I don't think it's right. You know what? I'm really glad I came on TV, and just so that people in Tucson can see what kind of a person he is.
Do you ever heels a reptile house? He's a snake.
Versus Dodge. All parties on Baker versus Dodge. Step forward, please.
Martin and Kate Baker say their neighbors Patricia Dodge Kennedy and husband Jim Kennedy got mad because they complained about the noise. They want Patricia to pay for the night it rained eggs.
Order. All rise. Judges number 25 on the calendar in the matter of Baker versus Dodge.
Thank you.
Parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Mr. and Mrs. Baker, your complaint alleges that your neighbor, Miss Dodge, vandalized your home. That's correct.
Yes.
And you are seeking damages in the amount of $5,000. There is a countersuit for harassment also in the amount of $5,000. A wonderful coincidence. I assume that this is a diagram of your home.
Yes.
Would you please
accurate, yes.
Would you please explain to me first how this vandalism took place, what the nature of the vandalism was, and then I'm going to ask you why you think it took place. So you want to go over to the diagram and show me how this happened, where you live, where she lives?
Your Honor, on the night of October 7th, my wife and I were just going to bed at the rear of our house in the master bedroom here. The children we have 2 young children. They were sleeping at the time. This was around 10:30. Our party, quite a raucous party, had already started up at that time over here in this apartment building on the 2nd floor where the defendant lives. Most of it, if not all of the party, was taking place on an open-air balcony here. It was loud enough that we were unable to get to sleep, but we decided we'd let him carry on for a little while longer, and if it went on past midnight, then we'd call the police and have them come by and tell them to quiet down a little. So at 12 o'clock, just after 12, I called the local police department. Police officer, Officer Park, came and spoke to the defendant, Patricia Dodge. We were able to hear most of that conversation from our bedroom as it took place on the open-air balcony here. Miss Dodge was very drunk, very belligerent, very rude.
Well, those are conclusions. Do you want to tell me what you heard her say? If you say you could hear the conversation.
I heard her say that she was going to trash the place, referring to our place. She told the police officer, she said, "I'm going to trash their place." The police officer advised her against that, told her to keep the noise down, and so on. After a while, I guess when he was satisfied, he left, and the noise did quieten down.
Did?
For a few minutes. Almost as soon as the police officer had left, as we were settling down to try and get to sleep, we heard some crashing noises on our house, like objects being thrown at the house. I didn't know if it was rocks, stones, what it was. I got straight on the phone to the police department, told them that someone was throwing things at our house, and they were hitting all over the house, at the back here and round at the front. And at that time, I heard people running down from the 2nd floor apartment here. 2 people.
Could you tell it was 2 people?
There are wooden steps, and I could hear 2 sets of footsteps. And I could see from the window the shadow of shadowy figures, 2 figures. As I was on the phone to the police dispatcher at the police department, I stood at the front of the house here with the lights out, looking through a small hatch in the front door. As I was speaking to the dispatcher, I saw the defendant, Patricia Dodge, and another woman standing out front throwing eggs at our house and at our car, which is parked right here. Patricia Dodge and her friend were standing in various parts of the street, and they were running to and fro to the apartment here. While this was going on, our son, Henry, who's just 2, he was woken up. He was very upset. He didn't know what was going on. All he knew was stuff was being thrown at the house. He was really upset. The police came just as Patricia Dodge and her girlfriend went back to their apartment. Whether they were done throwing eggs at that time, I don't know. Maybe they were going back for more
Don't
ammunition.
speculate what they were doing. They went back to the apartment.
I came out and spoke to the policeman.
Describe the house to me. Describe what you saw.
I'm sorry,
Describe the house to me at that time. You said there were things thrown at the house.
There were eggs all over the front of the house. There were eggs all over the car. The next day, we discovered eggs all over the back porch here.
Did you take any photographs of the damage, sir?
Yes, we did.
Do you have them?
Yes, I do, Your Honor.
May I see them, please?
And the interesting thing about the eggs at the rear is that they could only have been thrown over the fence, over our back fence, by someone in the second floor of this apartment building. By the time we were done cleaning up, it had to have been about 4 o'clock in the morning. And you don't want to leave eggs to sit overnight. So we made sure to clean them up as best we could.
I'm looking at these photographs, quite frankly. What do you want to show me with regard to this photograph?
Would you like me to step up?
Oh, there's an egg in the flower pot. I see.
That's where it must have ricocheted off the step there, or off the wall.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi. I am Patricia Kennedy, and Patricia Dodge Kennedy, and I live in apartment D, which is on that diagram over there. On the evening, which he is the plaintiff is referring to, my husband and I did have a few people over.
Who was your husband?
This gentleman right here. We did have a few people over, and after midnight, a police officer did come to our house. I had a lengthy conversation with him and explained to him how we've been harassed by these people. The officer has been to our house on numerous occasions as a result of numerous times these people have called and complained about noise. Now, noise to these people are me and my husband and maybe 2 other people sitting on our porch speaking in the tone that I have right now. This is Roy, my downstairs neighbor. He lives below us, and he has a 5-month-old baby and has never heard us at all. And
that's not true, Your Honor.
And on the evening that the officer came to my house, I had people over, and once the officer left, I told people to leave. There was about 8 people there. I walked my friends downstairs, went around the building, over where the parking lot is, and said goodbye to my friends, and they drove away. And I was walking back around, and I saw the cops coming back down my street. So I walked up and asked what was going on, and they were speaking to Mr. Baker. Then I went upstairs to my house, to my apartment, and my husband and I went to bed. About 20 minutes later, there's a knock on my door. Meanwhile, I'm sleeping. Knock on my door, and I get up to answer it. And it is an officer, tells me to put my hands behind my back. He is arresting me for a citizen's arrest for vandalism, on the word of Mr. Baker. So I was taken to the Fullerton Police Department and was held there for an hour and was arrested, fingerprinted, on a citizen's arrest. And then I went to court, and there was no case. There was nothing. They dropped everything.
A loud party, the police, and tossed eggs. Judge Judy continues in a moment. Martin and Kate Baker say their neighbors Patricia Dodge Kennedy and husband Jim Kennedy got mad because they complained about the noise. They want Patricia to pay for the night it rained eggs.
Did you drop a case that you had filed against the defendant?
It wasn't up to me, Your Honor. It was a citizen's arrest, and it was the district attorney's office that dropped the case. They were pursuing the case.
They rejected it.
We sought recourse through the civil court, which is why we're here today.
Well, I understand that. Did you speak to the district attorney?
No, they didn't contact me at all.
So they just dropped the case completely.
Presumably they have a heavy caseload and they didn't see
Well,
fit to
that's
pursue
also
it.
a conclusion. But you never told anyone that you wanted to drop this case.
That's right.
Okay, it was the district attorney that made that judgment.
Yes.
Miss Dodge, Mr. Baker says that he saw you throwing eggs at his house. Someone clearly threw eggs at his house based upon these photographs.
But it was not me.
He says it was you.
It wasn't me.
I watched her out of the hatch, Your Honor. I don't know who else it could have been. It's a very quiet neighborhood. We don't get too many people coming around throwing eggs in the middle of the night for no reason.
It's not a quiet neighborhood. We live on 2 major cross streets.
It's not since they moved in, Your Honor. It used to be a quiet neighborhood.
You have any witnesses who were there that evening?
Well, my wife is here.
Well, I assume your wife is going to tell me exactly what you told me, sir. Do you have any other witnesses? I see this person sitting here.
This is our neighbor, Kathy Kemp, and she's lived in the neighborhood for about 9 years and said that there's never been a problem with this apartment building until these people moved in.
Well, would you step up here, please? Would you tell me your name?
My name is Kathy Kemp.
Ms. Kemp, could you go over the board and show me where you live in relation to these folks?
Okay, I live in a back house. This is the Malvern Avenue, and I live way behind here. And this is my front yard. So my house, I can see the Dodgers apartment here, which I have witnessed a lot of noise from their parties. And I myself have literally had to go out my front door and shout, please keep the noise down or shut up.
That's not true.
Did you hear the noise that particular evening?
Yes, I did.
Describe what you heard.
I heard a lot of loud talking, laughing, and it was all out in their patio area where they held their parties a lot.
Did you witness any of the vandalism that happened to
No,
the
I did not.
house? Did you see any of the vandalism the next day?
No, I did not.
Did you see the house the next day?
No, I did not. I had to go to work that next day.
Excuse me, Your Honor. We also have a copy of the police report here in which the officer states that the defendant had told him quite clearly that she threatened to trash our place.
May I see the police report, please?
I did
It's
not
on
say
the
that.
last page there.
I did not say that.
And her demeanor is listed as drunk and belligerent on the
take a
police
look at it.
department.
Well, police reports are admissible in court because they are business records. And according to this police report, Ms. Dodge, and this is a direct quote from a police officer, you said that you were going to trash their place when the police officer left. So you think the police officer is lying about putting that in the report?
I did not say that.
Did you tell the police it was probably your friends who threw the eggs?
I might have. It wasn't me.
Did you tell the police that it was your friends who threw the eggs?
I might have.
Judge Judy continues in a moment. Martin and Kate Baker say their neighbors Patricia Dodge Kennedy and husband Jim Kennedy got mad because they complained about the noise. They want Patricia to pay for the night it rained eggs.
Do you know that in the police report that the police officer described your speech as slurred?
No. If I have one question. If I was so intoxicated, why would he have released me an hour later?
I don't know why.
If I was so intoxicated, I mean, don't you think he would have kept me from being drunk in public? He
No,
told
you
me
weren't
that
you weren't in public. You were in your house. But I'm just telling you that this is the way the police officer described you.
he thought I was sober enough to go home. He released me.
Madam, it is not a crime to be drunk. Okay, do you have any witnesses you want me to hear?
On the count of three.
This is just my neighbor, Roy. He lives downstairs from us, and he has lived there for 4 years. And
Just a second, step up. Roy what?
Gamel.
Mr. Gamel, you live downstairs with whom, sir?
With my wife. And my child.
Don't help him. Were you aware of the events of that evening?
Actually, no. My wife and I, we've never really hear anything from Trish and Jim's apartment. We live not directly below them, but one up, and we never hear anything.
Were you aware of the events of that evening? The answer is either yes or no.
No.
So you didn't hear the police come to the house?
No.
On either occasion that they came to the house?
No.
Thank you. You have any other witnesses that you want me to hear, Ms. Dodge?
I just want to speak on the countersuit.
You're her husband?
Yes. These people have harassed us constantly. They stare at us. They hold their little kid over the fence and instruct the kid to say hi to us.
That's not true. The fence is 6 feet high.
Go ahead, finish.
And I mean, it's constant. If we have two people on the balcony talking, they'll call the police on us every time, and it's like we had no peace. We had to seek to get out of our lease as a result of them because of the constant harassment. They watch us all the time. With no privacy.
They did not seek to get out of their lease. They were evicted.
I have evidence that we did seek to get out of our lease.
We terminated our lease. We were not evicted, for your information. Okay.
Listen to me. This is...
We have evidence.
It doesn't make any difference whether you were evicted or whether you got out of the lease yourself.
She's ready to rule. Stay tuned.
I'm going to deal with your counterclaim first. Your counterclaim is for harassment, and that is if they had harassed you without just cause. And if they had you arrested without just cause. And I believe that based upon the evidence that I've heard today, there was probable cause to believe that you were responsible for the vandalism on their home. By your own admission, while you say it wasn't you, you told the police it was probably your friends who vandalized the home. The same friends who were involved in this party that took place outside in your house. So whether you did it, and he says you did it, or your friends did it, the fact that the Bakers had called the police and had you arrested on this citizen's complaint was not a form of harassment. Their property was damaged. So I am dismissing your countersuit because there's no basis for a countersuit. The arrest was made with probable cause. The question is whether, in fact, you did, in fact, vandalize their property. I've read the police report. The police report clearly indicates that you were drunk, and I'm going to tell you why, because it says your speech was slurred. It says that despite the fact that there were police officers there, law enforcement officials, you threatened in front of the law enforcement official to trash their house as soon as the police left. I don't see any reason that the police officer would file a false report unless you can demonstrate to me that the police is in some way related to these people. Police officers are trained to write down things that happen. I assume he is a stranger to both of you, and he wrote down what you said. Now, any normal person acting with a clear head would not say to the police, I'm going to commit a crime as soon as you leave here. So I find that based upon those two things, I'm ruling now, that based upon those two things, you were in fact intoxicated on that evening. And I believe, Mr. Baker, that when he looked outside, he saw you and another female throwing eggs at his house. Somebody threw eggs at his house. He says that he clearly saw it was you that threw eggs at his house. And, quiet, sir. I'm ruling now. Okay. Don't you understand?
But I understand that, but I'm just saying, he said he heard the eggs, and then he says he looked out and saw it. I don't understand how he could hear it and then have the time to go out and then look through the door and actually see her do it. I mean, that doesn't make any sense.
Did I just tell you that I was ruling now? That I finished hearing your testimony? I finished hearing their testimony? Do you understand that?
Yeah, but I don't think you gave a fair...
That's my job. I am supposed to determine the credibility of people who testify here. And based upon that, I'm telling you what my determination is. My determination is that your wife vandalized their house. Now, the question is one of damages. And I will tell you right now, Mr. Baker, none of the damages that I saw to your house with regard to the eggs anywhere reached close to $5,000 worth of damage.
Yes, I agree.
Well, I'm glad that you agree. You were inconvenienced on that evening. The Dodgers, I assume, have moved out of your place. I assume that it took you some time to clean up the eggs on your house.
Our son is still scared of them. That's why we're claiming emotional distress.
Mr. Baker, I don't have any expert testimony from a child psychiatrist or psychologist that your son has been permanently traumatized as a result of eggs being thrown at your house. Let's
didn't
not
say
be foolish,
permanently.
sir. But I think that you should have some compensation for that evening, and I am awarding you $500. That's all.
Parties are excused. You may step out.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
We were robbed. It's a joke. We were harassed.
These people have harassed us. They're naked kids run around in the thing. They have a weird cultish religion that they follow, and as a result,
They're ministers, and if anybody needs to get married,
yeah, they'll marry you if you pay $20 and they'll marry you.
So these guys haven't read the Constitution lately. We have a right to practice any religion we like. Our kids have a right. Our kids are 2 and 3 years old. They have a right to go naked in their own private backyard. These guys should read the Constitution.
How many times did you lie to the police? How many lies did you have to tell the police? Oh yeah, how come every time you'd call?
I think it's obvious who lied to the police.
The last people that lived there, I could have brought her too. They were harassed. She harassed her as well.
To watch out for those neighbors. That's why she moved forward.
And now, the next case.
All parties on Wilson versus Cromwell. Step forward, please.
Performers Melvin and Lorna Wilson say they were cheated when Vaughn Cromwell canceled a concert in Mexico. Vaughn says it was the Federales who shut him down.
This is case number 11 on the calendar in the matter of Wilson versus Cromwell.
Thank you.
The parties have been sworn in, Judge. You may be seated.
Okay. First, would you tell me how much you're suing him for?
$3,070.
Well, that's what I don't understand. You had said you had a contract. Who are you, by the way?
I'm Melvin Wilson, the performer that was supposed to perform in Puerto Vallarta.
He's the co-plaintiff.
I'm the co-plaintiff.
Okay. You say you were supposed to perform at an event he was producing in Mexico, and that you got there, the event was canceled. Yes. You had a contract for $2,000?
Right.
Okay, why don't you tell me about it?
Okay. I was contacted by a talent coordinator named Sheindlin.
Don't read anything, tell me.
Okay. She asked us if we'd be interested in doing this particular show. And we agreed to do it for an honorarium of $2,000 plus expenses. We received plane tickets.
Did you have a contract?
Yes, I do. I have everything here. Did you want copies of all
I just want
those?
like a contract. Okay. You entered into a contract with him.
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of the contract was $2,000.
Yes.
Same contract. Okay. So what happened?
So the day before we left, we hadn't received our deposit, and we spoke with Mr. Cromwell on the phone, and he guaranteed us that the money was in the bank from his investor, but it was on hold.
Whatever. You got there?
No, we haven't got to. We're still in California.
Okay, so you went there without any money, just plane tickets?
Plane tickets and hotel reservations because we had a guarantee of getting paid in full.
So what happened when you got there?
When we got there, I kept checking on rehearsal. I kept checking on sound checks. Nobody was talking. Everybody was very
When did he
evasive
tell
and
you
rude.
the event was canceled?
About 4 hours before the show on Saturday, the day of the performance.
Now, my last question to you before I go to him is, why are you suing for $3,070 when your original contract was for $2,000?
Because of the expenses we incurred trying to fulfill the contract.
Like what?
Like, I had to give each person about $100 for expenses. There were 5 people. We had to pay for tickets to get to the airport on an airport shuttle. We had babysitting fees incurred because we left town. We had transportation to and from the airport in Puerto Vallarta. We each had to get citizenship affidavits at the airport because when we asked what kind of things we needed to go to Mexico, we were told that we only needed a driver's license and a Social Security card, which is not true. It costs money to have phone privileges at the hotel.
Listen to me. This just says the guaranteed fee was $2,000. Am I missing something in this contract that provides for the kinds of expenses that you're talking about? It's not in here, is it?
No.
Well, then this is what the contract says. You're suing him for breach of contract. You can't add to the contract. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay. So nowhere in this contract does it talk about anything about babysitting expenses or anything else. It talks about $2,000 that you were supposed to be paid. Period.
Right.
That's what's in the 4 corners of your agreement. Yes. And if you wanted anything else, what you have to do is you have to put it in a contract. You can't add things to a contract. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Okay.
A Mexican concert is canceled, but the performers still want to get paid. Judge Judy returns in a moment. Performers Melvin and Lorna Wilson say they were cheated when Vaughn Cromwell canceled a concert in Mexico. Vaughn says it was the Federales who shut him down.
Now, so you owe him $2,000. You canceled the contract. Why?
Well, basically, the show was postponed. The investor that she talked about, I do have a copy of that agreement.
I'm not interested in the investor.
Okay.
The investor didn't sign this contract. You did.
Well, basically what happened was the funds were supposed to have been transferred into my account. The funds never got transferred into my account. But first of all, let me just back up to tell you a little bit about my side of the story. In that contract, it says that if the event was canceled, then you can look at cancellation. If, in fact, the performance was canceled 2 weeks prior to the engagement, then I stated in the contract that I would pay them $1,000.
Yeah, but it wasn't canceled.
It was canceled.
In the event they cancel any performance less than 2 weeks before the date.
The reason that, Your Honor, if I can...
I read your answer, sir. Your answer suggested to me a payoff to the mayor's wife of 10% so that you could get a tax-exempt status as a charitable organization. Now, look into my eyes and you tell me if I'm mistaken.
You're mistaken. You are. You're mistaken. What I'm saying to you is. Let me see if I got this answer right here. Let me see if I got this answer right here. I have the documents. Let me give you the documents.
I'm not interested in the documents that come from Mexico, sir, with the mayor's wife's name on it. It says...
But they control the charity.
I had an agreement with a local charity known as DIF, controlled by the mayor's wife.
That's right.
To pay 10% of the profits.
That's right.
Then you would get a charitable deduction.
10% of the profits went to the organization DIF. She ran the organization. Anyone in office there
wonderful.
Runs that organization. I have the documents. Can I show you the documents? This is not a fabricated story.
Let us assume, sir, that you canceled the event for the reason that you just told me. Let me try to put it in a nutshell. You got there and you found out that 57% of the profits that you were going to make were going to go to the Federales in Mexico, so you decided not to do the concert.
Well, no, not just that.
But you did say that.
I did say what?
You did say you weren't going to give them your money.
No, what I said to them, why should they have to get 57%? Listen, there was $100,000 outstanding, okay? And
you're even having a hard time telling me the story with a straight face, sir. You know that?
No, what I'm saying is there was $100,000 outstanding that needed to be paid. And what I'm saying is, why should I go over with $100,000 that's given to me by an investor just to give them $57,000?
Well, that's what I just said to you. You didn't want to pay out 57% of your money, so you canceled the contract. I mean, you said it in 10 minutes, and I said it in 2 seconds. Yeah, baloney. Baloney. You're not going back. You're not going back to Mexico.
In the beginning.
Just a second.
No.
All right. Listen. There is, within 4 corners of this agreement, a cancellation clause. You read the agreement, you signed it, correct? Yes. The cancellation clause says that if the agreement is canceled, if the concert is canceled, he's got to pay you $1,000. That's what it says. Where's her $1,000?
The wire transfer never happened on my account. It's the truth.
Well, just a second.
It's a lot of these floating around.
A lot of these thousands floating around?
A lot of those checks floating around.
A lot of those
I put a stop payment on that.
Yeah, 3 days
because
after
the
we
wire
got it.
transfer did not happen on my account
Well,
from
that's
the
not our
investment
problem.
firm.
Just a second. She's absolutely right. Listen, you're winning so far. I mean, you lost a little bit, but you know that you're entitled to $1,000, and it seems to me that at this point, you're winning. Listen, you're in business. They didn't make an agreement with your investor. They made an agreement with you. Right. You have a very formal contract that seems to provide for all eventualities. Flood, famine, frogs, feast, everything else. It's provided for in there, but one of the things that's provided for, if you cancel, you have to pay her $1,000. So say I'm wrong. Say I should have paid her the $1,000. You still think you're right?
I don't think they're wrong.
No. I want you to say...
I don't think they're wrong.
Fine. Then you think you owe them the $1,000.
The situation was out of my control.
Yes, sir. Sometimes you make a lot of money when you're doing concerts, right? And sometimes you lose money. Now, it was your poor business affairs that caused you to postpone this concert. You cannot visit that on these people. You had a contract with them. You want to be in business and be a respected part of the entertainment business. You don't go around breaching contracts and writing out checks and then canceling them. Otherwise, people aren't going to trust you.
Those funds were not in my account as promised to me.
Take the money out of
agreement.
another account. Take the money out of your own pocket to pay your debts. They did not have an agreement with your investor. Sometimes you have an investor, they make a lot of money, you make a lot of money, and sometimes you don't. You've got to take your lumps when you're in business as well as taking the profit, sir. But your good name in business is worth more than $1,000.
Yeah, I understand that.
Good. Judgment in this case is for the plaintiff in the amount of $1,000 agreed pursuant to the contract. Thank you.
Thank you.
Excuse you may step out, please.
Judge Judy continues in a moment.
Something went wrong and they didn't tell me.
I knocked on your bedroom door on Saturday morning, and you wouldn't even face me.
Saturday
you sent
morning?
me to Lynn Jeter's door. Yes,
Saturday
you did.
morning?
Yes, Saturday
Yes, you
morning.
did.
You were there. You wouldn't even open the
Send
door
it
and
looking
face me. You sent me to Lynn's door.
Something slimy was going on and you weren't going to get everything started.
Hi, xin chào các bạn. Chào mừng các bạn đã đến với kênh của mình. Hôm nay chúng ta cùng tô màu cho bức tranh về hình ảnh một chú ong nhé. Chúng ta cùng bắt đầu thôi nào. Sẽ tô màu cam. Màu đen tô vào tay.
Nhiên ở dưới cầm này nhá, em bốc cục này nó lại lên 2 cục này. xe nhá.
Tùy mà.
Nhưng mà mua đâu biết tích của nhá.
Không.
Mua xe người ta bảo là mua cái lấy xe của biết tích.
Mày cũng nghe người ta à?
Có một cái lót kem nước ẩm ở bên dưới.